I will be in Tampa, Florida. I want to let you know that from June 23rd to 25th, this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, this weekend. That's right. Seats are selling fast. I'm thankful for that. And we've also added more seats in Guilford, New Hampshire on July 20th at the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion. Those are lawn seats. You can sit out on the lawn and bring something. I don't know what you can bring. You got to check with the venue, but maybe get you a little tapestry or something out there, a little blanket, and get out there and hug somebody and giggle. Y'all can lay there together and spoon and giggle if you want. And hell, take a damn pill or something if you're doing pills. I don't know. I don't do them. We also have tickets available in Edmonton, Alberta on July 14th, Grantville, PA on July 19th, Windsor, Ontario on August 18th, Toronto, Ontario, August 19th, and Niagara Falls, August 20th. That's where you get all the tickets, theovon.com/TOUR. Thank you so much for supporting the Return of the Rat tour. I want you to check out the new Rat Life tees. They're in light blue, salmon, and sand. And the new Rat King Big Head tees. Hey, Big Head. From Alaska to Nebraska, baby. You know what I'm saying? You want to tickle that nickel? I'm the Fonz with the bronze, baby. All that and more at theovonstore.com. Love you guys. I want to thank Rooster Teeth for allowing us time today here in their studio space out here in Austin, Texas. We are grateful to them, and we are grateful for this space. Today's guest is a comedian. He's a podcaster. I think I would say he's an enlightened being. He has his own podcast called the Duncan Trussell Family Hour. He has a show on Netflix. He's one of a kind. Today's guest is my friend, Mr. Duncan Trussell.
Shine that light on me. I'll sit and tell you my stories. Shine on me, and I will find a song. I will sing it. I'm on stage.
They had a man by us that they found a Korean guy who had been hiding, I guess, in the ceiling of the YMCA.
What?
Yeah, this was in Santa Monica. They found a Korean in the ceiling, and so they shut everything down. One time, like, the police came in and raided him. He'd been going there for years. You know, he'd been like sneaking. He's like one of those, you know, people are. What's that new thing? People are hiding in people's homes or whatever.
Nesting.
Yeah, nesting. Yeah,
They nest in your house. You don't know. They come down and drink your milk.
right. Sorry. Yeah, that's what's going on. It's like and this guy was nesting in the YMCA.
Not a bad place to nest.
Oh no! And I remember I saw him for years. Sorry, Zach. I was a bit abrupt there. I'm having a long day, and it's
You
only
are
this time.
Theo. What happened?
Well, there's fucking people in the ceiling, brother. There's people in my ceiling right now. You know, there's squatters. I got Koreans in my brain. I got brothers in my head.
Who knows what else? Yeah, man, it would be so wonderful to have some brain scanning device that showed you a visual depiction of all the various entities, whatever they may be, whether it's, you know, psychological structures or authentic demons. So you could just get the rundown, like when you get blood tests, you know?
Yeah.
Because then you'd know. You'd know, like, why you're acting the way you act sometimes. Not you specifically, but, you know, when the monster pops out.
Oh, well, I think that's, you know, I wonder a lot if we do, I was just talking about this on Rogan the other day, if we do enough of the right testing, like we take people's temperature, like temperature is such a, who cares? You can almost guess it, you know, if you're if you're anybody with a thermometer or with the 2 cents, you know.
Finger?
Yeah, like you could touch somebody like, oh, you're warm or you're
Right.
cold, you know, you're dead, you're alive, you know, it's like, but I feel like we have such primitive testing, it still feels like, that we're allowed to see.
Right.
I would love to know, yeah, who's in here today?
Right.
What skeletons are out?
Yeah. what unaddressed trauma is about to explode out of me in the middle of traffic?
Yeah.
And then you'll know, and then maybe it won't happen. But this is, I think the testing we have on the human body is pretty remarkable, right? Like you can do, like you don't even have to get the prostate thing, where they shove the tube and cut the polyps. It's disgusting. It's like a haircut for your intestines. I got to get one soon. But you could just do like some test that tells you if, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
You don't have to get the Michael Jackson drug and then have this long tube that your doctor is weirdly like excited to tell you about.
Yeah, he's listening to Billie Jean while he puts it in you.
My doctor was so excited. He's like, you'll be able to see your appendix. Like, I don't want to see my fucking appendix. I never want to see it. I want to die without seeing my appendix.
Yeah.
But anyway, now they can just test it. I can't remember what the name of it is. The worst commercial on TV. It's like an annoying corrective animation, like interrupts people when they're swimming, and it's like, have you had your asshole checked?
Yeah.
It's a stupid commercial. But the point is, if they can do that, it's interesting. The mind is like the ocean. We have no idea what's going on in there. Like, it's the biggest part of planet Earth, and we barely know what's down there. It's really curious.
Well, in the ocean too, man, the ocean, a lot of it is, most of the animals are by the edge.
Yeah, right? Like you're talking like down there in those thermal vents, it starts low population density, and what is down there is like terrifying.
Well, it's the same type of people that live, I think, if you get out in a very rural Utah, or you get out into like, you go deep into the mountains or into some caverns or something, you find some real cryptic homies out there.
Oh my dude.
When
I was in Asheville, the last day of my kid's preschool, right before we left, I met a psychologist whose job was to go out into deep Appalachia and that's where all his clients were. And just what you're saying, like the stuff going on out there is crazy. Like he was telling me one of his patients took a scythe and went to this dude's trailer where I guess he's sitting watching TV and used the scythe to cut through the trailer into the dude's back. Like,
came through the wall.
The wall with a scythe.
Oh.
You're just watching like American Ninja Challenge and a scythe comes through your fucking trailer.
But how interactive is that? I mean, you couldn't, no matter what cable you paid for, rarely would you be watching American Ninja, and then an actual bootleg fucking meth ninja rolls up with a scythe and cracks through your homestead.
Like 80% moonshine, just filled with that kind of moonshine that makes your eyes turn white. And something sparks in his brain. He's like, I'm going to do it today. And he goes and scythes someone trade. Yeah. It's crazy. That's our minds. We have our back roads and we have our dark bowers and secret places. Some people never, ever even know. They just think they're like the first thing that comes to their mind. They don't know that like there's a lot of shit down there.
Yeah, they don't know that there's people pushing people to the front of the class to say something. They think that, oh, that's the first thought I had, but they don't know there's all these dark arts in the distance pushing people forward. I think my mind a lot of time is like, what's that black street that they burned down or whatever, Zach? That was like that was like black. It was like fancy. It was like the first black like main street.
You talking about Black Wall Street in Tulsa?
Yeah.
That was, I can pull that up.
They burn it down?
They burned it down a long time ago. I'm not sure what exactly happened. It may have been racism. It may have just been fireworks. I don't know what it was. White residents attacked black residents' homes and businesses, as well as cultural and public institutions in Greenwood District of Tulsa, Oklahoma, an oil boom city. Black Wall Street, one of the wealthiest black communities. So it was like kind of your early Atlanta.
Jesus Christ. They burn it all down.
Yeah, the property loss.
35 blocks were systematically looted and burned.
Yeah, I don't know. Does it say why they did this?
I'm guessing it's not fireworks.
Yeah, this looks more like probably racism.
Mobs of white residents.
The The Red Cross provided relief. Do you see any? If you see something, Zach, let me know. Won't you peep on it while we're But that's what kind of my head is. You know, I remember going to the doctor one time when I was young, and the guy, they put that thing in your head, that little looker, you know?
The looker?
They put
Oh, the ear looker?
yeah.
Stethoscope.
It's called an ear looker.
Stethoscope, yeah. Ear looker. Yeah, ear looker.
I got it. Well, I know it. Yeah, stethoscope.
They put it in there, and the guy was like, "Oh, you got a bunch of brothers in your head, right?" But he said the N word, right? The
What?
doctor, yeah. And I remember that, and I was like, and he was just joking around, I guess, you know. But it was like I didn't know what was going on.
How old
know?
were you?
I was probably 9 or 10, you know.
Just think of that dude. Like, imagine being that doctor, looking in a kid's ear, and that is what makes sense for you to say.
Yeah. And that's a doctor. He looked in, he's like, "Oh, you got a bunch of N-words in your head." And I was like, whoa.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, tell him to come out, dude. At least, like, you know, let's get on a first name basis. But it blew my mind. I think he was trying to, like, make my dad laugh or something, you know. It was just back in the days when there was just kind of semi-casual racism.
Right.
Like, you know.
I mean, that's not even semi-casual racism. That's like, I mean, if we're going to, like, analyze racism, that's pretty hardcore, like... And that, it sounds like a joke he makes. Like,
Yeah.
that's just one of the funny bedside manner things he does when he's with 9-year-olds. Like, that generally cracks 9-year-olds up, I guess. It would probably terrify me to
Oh, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if, like, half of, like, In Living Color was living in my
There's
head. You know what I'm saying?
humans in my ear.
Yeah.
What are you talking? You're a doctor. I'm going to trust you. Whoa. Yeah, that's
so that
crazy.
was great. Yeah, it was just kind of the environment around us, I think.
At
But,
least you remembered it, man. Like that's the problem is like stuff happens like that to you when you're a kid and you forget it. And then you get this like weird little limp, like a micro limp, a weird little, like you have anxiety attacks when you see ear lookers or you don't know why. That's
Yeah.
the problem. We forget. The mind forgets, but a lot of stuff just gets in there. Just gets in. Dude, I was like a few months ago, I don't know, man, I've done psychedelics my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I get a little wobbly, generally I'm just like, all right, whatever, you're wobbly today. But I was like particularly like weird. Like I was off. I don't know how off you get, but I was like off. And my wife was like, what's going on with you?
Mm.
And I'm, doing the Rolodex. If I've been eating a lot of edibles, am I getting enough sleep? And like everything pretty normal. And then I'm like, fuck. I Google search because I try not to remember it when my mom died.
Mm-hmm.
That day.
No.
Didn't remember it. Didn't remember the date, but my body remembered it. And like I talked to my friend who's a psychiatrist. He's like, yeah, that's seasonal triggers. They like activate people's grief. And some people don't even know that's what's happening.
Wow.
It's so wild, man. That's just stored in us forever. And what else is in there?
Yeah.
Like, surely it's not just the worst thing that happened to you. It's probably lighter shades of things and you think that's your personality. It's just triggers.
Yeah, a lot of our personality is basically, it's the foliage that's built upon the sediment of the things that have happened to us as we grew.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It's really fascinating. I think, I wonder how many two of those things can be like triggers from previous generations even,
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
I think there's a lot of investigation into that now.
Epigenetics.
Yeah. And also, I mean, you see like a zygote or something, or what's that beautiful rock? You ever bought one of those beautiful rocks and you crack it open and it's got damn magic in it?
Geode.
It's just geodes. Yeah.
So cool.
God. And you're like, wow, this is in there, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. It's not all horrible shit inside of us. I mean, that's the thing. Like underneath all whatever the weird neurotic foliage you have is like for a lot of people, there's like things like that.
Oh yeah, and these are a lot of women that that didn't have kids or whatever end up loving these things. Or whatever.
What, geodes? I didn't know that. Is that true?
Yeah, these are like the Pringles for women that couldn't, didn't have a child. I think.
I did not know that, man. That's cool.
Yeah,
I guess I get it. It's kind of like a womb. It's like this universe in a womb or something.
Well, if you really think about what would life be like, right? If you thought about life,
yeah,
because I'm sure if you say you saw a little bit of a little bucket of uterus or a bucket of not uterus, but what's
placenta.
The placenta, right? If you saw a little placenta on the ground, you'd be like, ugh, Look, if you didn't know it was placenta, say you're walking by, you'd be like, oh my God.
Have you seen live placenta?
A hippopotamus sneezed over here. No.
Dude, when I saw placenta for
Mhm.
the first time, when my wife gave birth, it's an alien. Like, that is not of this world. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. And it's just, they just grow that, man. They can just do that. It's an organ that they grow and then eject. It's nuts.
Who does it?
Who does what?
Grows it.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming like it's something, the DNA. It like, once you're pregnant, it just sort of, their body's not.
Women.
Who did you think I said?
I don't know. I thought someone was growing it
My
somewhere.
friend's a placenta farmer.
That's
And
what
he
I thought you
invited me
said.
over, and it was just they grow it in aquariums, lots of jizz. It's basically jizz and honey, and depending, like everyone has a different recipe.
Yeah, you have there's a bunch of Asians beating the rice off of it out in like little boats.
There's all kinds of ways to make placenta, Theo, these days. Especially my grandmother's placenta recipe is insane.
Oh yeah, dude. I've had paella, I've had placenta. It's like just depends on the holiday. You know?
Oh my God! When you get a wonderful placenta, it's so great. Harder to find these days. I don't
Yeah.
mean to be like an old man and complain, but when I was younger, you would get like much better placenta.
Oh, the Christmas placenta my grandparents would bring over.
Dear God! Oh my God! The smell of fresh placenta bubbling on the stove.
Yes,
Cinnamon.
nuts roasting on an open fire. God, it was good. And
So
my
good.
grandmother would put cinnamon on hers.
Are you kidding me?
Mm-mm.
It's so interesting, man. It's so interesting. Yeah. So this was like a big in my family over Christmas dinner.
Mhm.
My grandfather was like, "Why don't we add cinnamon to the placenta?" And like my grandmother just started weeping and
Oh.
walked out of the room. So ever since then, I've been afraid to try it, but I've heard it gets you super high.
Yeah, it's a real, it's brought families together for years, I think.
Yeah, I think it's an American tradition. I don't know why people are against it. It's just like, what? You can adapt, you can adjust.
Yeah, have you ever read Grapes of Wrath? Dude, that book was a half chapter away from them eating a bowl of boiled placenta.
That's right. Yeah, just eat it. Eat
Yeah.
the placenta. Eat whatever you want.
I mean, the last page of that book, they're breastfeeding off their own sibling, I think, because they were so starving in that book.
Well, I mean, did you hear like when they recovered Jim Morrison's body in the bathtub in Paris?
Mm-mm.
His mouth was full of placenta. A lot of people think it was heroin that killed him, but like he got high and choked on placenta,
Oh.
like Parisian placenta,
Ooh.
which is good.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not to sound snobby, but I don't think anything beats the placenta of France.
Yeah. Placenta.
You sound exactly like someone serving placenta in Paris. You've done this. You've been on the placenta tours. I went on a whole placenta bike tour of Paris. It was best week of my life.
Did you guys see that Morgan Wallen is on tour? Of course you did. He's out there. Who else is touring? The Harlem Globetrotters, I believe, are out there doing it. Willie Nelson may be on his last tour ever. A lot of touring going on. And that's good timing for the newest sponsor of the podcast, which is SeatGeek. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events every single day on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. You know, I went and saw Duran Duran the other day, or Double Duran, some people call them. And I got the tickets off SeatGeek. Yes, I did. They've got tickets to Tyler Childers, Drake, Beyonce, everyone. They put all the tickets across the web in one place to make sure you're getting a good deal. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, and SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your ticket ahead of the event with swaps. That's how they do it. And you know I came through for you guys. Use my code Theo for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's right, $20 off your first purchase with promo code Theo. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. Thank you for supporting live music and comedy and anything you go see. This episode is brought to you by Zip Picks, nicotine toothpicks. Zippix, Zippix, brings you a totally satisfying, convenient, and great-tasting way to curb your nicotine cravings. That's right. If you craving that nick, boy, if you nicking out, you nicking around, that's right. Don't you think it's time you stop putting smoke and vape oils in your lungs? I do. Now you can get your nicotine fix anytime, anywhere, without having to rely on smoking or vaping. Zippix toothpicks give you an easier, healthier, and more discreet way to get your fix, baby. Get that hitter. They're available in 6 or 8 flavors, and they have options in 2 milligrams and 3 milligrams of nicotine. That's right. They're perfect for flights, sporting events, restaurants, and literally everywhere else that smoking and vaping are banned. ZipPix also offers caffeine and B12 infused toothpicks if you're not a nicotine user or if you're trying to get away from your nicotine habit. Ditch the cigarettes, ditch the vape, and get some nicotine-infused toothpicks at zippixtoothpicks.com today. Get 10% off your first order by using the code Theo at checkout. Your lungs will be glad you did. That's Zippix toothpicks. TOOTHPICKS.com. Zippixtoothpicks.com. 10% off your first order by using code Theo at checkout. Must be 21 or older to order. Zip more, smoke less with Zippix nicotine toothpicks. That's great, dude. Yeah, placenta, man. It is. So you saw it though when your wife had it.
Oh yeah, you see it. Yeah, you see it. I mean, well, you save it. Like these days, they're actually recommending that you like save the placenta, or I think it's the placenta. Like the idea is like in the placenta. I could be wrong about this. Maybe it's the umbilical cord. There's stem cells that theoretically in the next 10, 20 years, if you have access to your stem cells from when you were first born, you could like reverse the aging process. So lots of people who can afford it are saving their stem cells, their placenta. I can't remember. There's a name for it. I think it's called cord blood. But all that stuff, like they cryogenically freeze it. And then down the line, theoretically, you could like heal yourself. You could grow your body back.
Oh, I would use that in a heartbeat, I think.
I would too.
What is that? What are we saving, Zach? Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, cord blood is the right word, but it is, people do like save and eat the placenta.
Or bury it.
Do you want? I have a picture of a placenta if you want to see it.
I would love to.
It's kind of strong though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And is that cooked or not cooked? Bring it back up.
That looked like raw placenta.
That's raw.
Yeah, that's probably Chef Anthony Bourdain's kitchen. Or a cooking show or something.
Oh yeah, this looks like a little bit. This ain't no Wolfgang Puck. This looks like hot. This looks like real.
People do eat this though. You're right. I've heard that in LA, like women save the placenta and literally put it in like smoothies, like down. Like they'll like incorporate it into daily eating.
Well, there's a new purse too. I think they're doing a purse now.
You know, the purse is beautiful. Gucci has a wonderful placenta purse for this season, a summer placenta purse. But here's what's happened. What happens, and it's a real problem, is that people bury their placenta and they have a little ceremony for it, but they don't bury it deep enough, and their dogs dig it up.
Oh.
So you're like sitting down to watch TV and you look and like there's like half eaten placenta on your couch. So you got to put it in a box or bury it deep because dogs just love placenta.
I can't even. It's everything. Yeah, it's everything a dog would want. It has blood in it. It's like from the crotch area. You know, it's like dogs love all that.
Oh my God. It's yes, it's literally a dog's dream food. Yeah, for sure.
I do think it is kind of fascinating though that we don't have are we missing levels of ourselves in basic scans and information that, like, how close are we to be able to do a scan, an MRI that tells us what's going on with ourselves at some different levels?
Like an emotional CAT scan.
Yeah. Emotional seems to be the level that seems to be a lot of the realm that we're really missing, I feel like, when it comes to diagnoses.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Because all the psychologist has to go on is what the patient is telling them, right? Or that's it. You can't do anything other than that. Or like past behaviors or, but still you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, to me, the astounding part of being human is we're choosing to behave the way we do. Many times I would like to think I didn't really have a choice there. Like that just was a reaction to an event that spontaneously erupted out of me. But if you kind of mindfully study your worst moments, most of the time you'll realize there was like a micro moment where you decided to do your defense mechanism that always hurts people's feelings or gives you a feeling later of guilt or something. There's this weird microsecond where you decide to do it. Like your brain is some kind of computer and it's like choose your own adventure, and it spits out a few options and you pick the most annoying, aggressive, shitty one.
Yes,
You
do.
chose to do it. You weren't possessed.
Right.
But the choice happened so quick that you could easily miss the choice. That's what's cool about it, is you don't have to be the way you are at all. Change your clothes, change your haircut, get a face tattoo, whatever you want. You could do whatever you want, but we're addicted to being us, It's so habitual.
Wow. And it's one thing I noticed with doing meditation, right, that starts to help me is I'm not just like in the carriage of the roller coaster I'm on. I'm not just, because usually I'm so attached to my own life. I'm like, oh, this is what, but if I do some meditation, even for a couple weeks, I'm start to have a little bit more separation from me and what I'm doing. So I'm like, oh, I do have a little bit more choice. I can see a little bit more how I'm behaving instead of just behaving. Like, if you're always upset, if you're always anything, or if you feel like you are just constantly in response to some choices that you're making and you're like, fuck, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
Meditation has always given me a little bit of a step back where it's like, oh, I'm not always just the guy sitting in the roller coaster car about to go on the ride. Now sometimes I'm the person waiting by the side of it. Like I'm the conductor a little.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, interesting. God.
Roller coaster is a great way to describe it, man. There's a lot of antiquated ways of describing it. Chariot attached to like the most powerful horses. And if you can't control them, you're going to get dragged. Wild elephant.
Oh.
Wild elephant. But, that's this is an Eastern. You have to grow up in India to even know like what that means. I mean, I've seen videos of wild elephants. They're not great.
Yeah.
But roller coaster, that's fucking awesome, man. Roller coaster. That's the new description of the
smooth operator.
It's
Yeah.
good. Roller
Thank you.
coaster.
It's that. Yeah, but just not being so attached to myself. I will say that's the only time I'm able to get any insight into like, wow, look at my behaviors. Look at what's going on instead of just being my behaviors.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and something that's really wonderful is if it's not like you have that pause that seems to expand with meditation. So you have a little more time to decide what you're going to do. It doesn't mean you're going to choose the well-behaved thing to do. It just means if you do choose to be an asshole, you did on purpose. You thought about it and you're like, I'm going to be a fucking asshole here. I'm deciding instead of spontaneously just going asshole mode.
Right. That's it. That's what meditation provides. It provides you the ability or the noticeability to go from spontaneously being an asshole to choosing to say, hey, I'm going to be an asshole.
What a gift. What a gift. No, one thing I don't know because I haven't read this. Someone who was friends with him told me that once he heard Ram Dass, the spiritual teacher, say, if an asshole gets enlightened, then they're going to be an enlightened asshole. This whole notion that you start meditating or take up the spiritual path and like now, like, I don't know, you're making like Instagram videos in front of like crystal pools of water and in beautiful forests with your beads and you're like emanating light. That is not the case. You just, like you're saying, you become the roller coaster conductor. At least you know that you are simultaneously controlling the ride and getting on the ride.
Yes.
And there's some freedom in that, I think.
Well, it's interesting because then you start to see, oh, well, what else could be going on in the depths of me when I'm not just sitting here in the same, like at the beach of myself.
Yeah.
I'm not just, it's like, I feel like that's one of the first steps in this sort of getting into like realizing there's more to you than just being this reactive substance described as like a human.
Reactive substance. Is that what the aliens call us? That's probably what they thought it was at first. They're just like there's a bunch of reactive substance on that planet.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is. Sometimes it like gets into vehicles. We think it's vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes a doctor tells one of them tells them they have black guys in their head as a child.
Yeah. I know. Well, I did read that maybe that is the reason, even though these days I guess you can't say we're not getting visited, but one of the theories on why aliens aren't coming here is because they don't consider us intelligent life.
Yeah.
So they just see us as just like what you're saying, some kind of like vaguely sentient reactive meat and not worth visiting.
I think that makes sense. I mean, I've long thought the reason why I think aliens used to come a lot, probably back in the day, right?
Yeah.
They came a lot. That's why you saw a lot of Egyptians drawing them.
Yeah.
And even the fact that they would stay stable long enough for an Egyptian to draw them. Because in Egypt, like they had to get a candle, they had to light it, they had to get the guy who could draw. Like it was a little bit more of than just
Chisel it.
Yeah.
Sometimes chiseling.
Yeah, it was more than just us grabbing a phone, right?
Yeah.
But I think, they used to come by a lot, and then they realized it's kind of boring. We've become like one of the boring theme parks in the galaxy. So if your parents, if your alien parents take you to the Earth for your graduation, I bet the other aliens are like, what a fucking loser. Do your parents took you to fucking, nobody's been there in forever, dude. How poor are you guys?
It's like a Six Flags knockoff.
Yes.
Like one of those shitty theme parks where they don't even try to clean up the puke.
Yeah.
There's just puke splattered everywhere. You'll probably get like pickpocketed. You look at the kids controlling the roller coaster and they're like clearly on PCP. They're not paying attention. People die. People die there. But that's probably it.
One of the guys running the rides is in a coma, but they have to hire, like the government's like, you have to hire more comatose people.
Yeah.
And so they're just like, the guy's like, just like has his morphine button and his fucking start the ride button confused.
Crazy. I mean, any theme park. I mean, that is really like, to me, the more terrifying than the roller coaster itself is when you look at the person controlling the roller coaster. And then imagine, like, what if that person was controlling subways in New York? Would you feel okay about that? But the roller coaster is probably more dangerous than the subway.
Totally.
It's like it shouldn't even work. It's like using weird physics. They hired a roller coaster architect. They could afford him for a couple of weeks, threw something together, and then they just let like a 17-year-old on like synthetic marijuana for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Control that fucking thing.
Yeah. And then, And then he spends, that kid, he lobbies to get a DJ there at the same time, like for the ride, right? Like, they're like, we could spend more money on safety. And he's like, no way, dude.
No.
We need my boy Ricky right here to spin his tables on the side.
That's right. And they know they have insurance. So they're just like, look, I'm paying a shit ton of money for roller coaster insurance. If someone gets hurt, they get fucking hurt. We're getting a DJ. We're covered legally.
This is the rhythm of the night. Oh.
I think he's having a seizure. Yeah. I think the roller coaster operator just had a micro seizure.
Yeah. Oh, he's having a seizure, dude? Beat up the beat, bro. We got to fucking drop the beat. That'll help him.
Dude, I was in the back of a shit roller coaster at a shit theme park, just like you're describing. Yeah. And whoever was that, like whoever's in charge of checking the straps comes back to me. I was just a kid, man. And she looks at me and she's like, you're not even supposed to be sitting in the back. The person next to you who's heavy, there's a chance you could break a rib. There wasn't, I'm going to take you out and put you in a different seat. She just said that as she's tightening the thing that's holding me in the car. And then it just goes. And she was right. Like the person next to me was smashing. It hurt. Like it didn't break my ribs.
It should hurt, man.
Yeah, it hurt.
It should hurt.
So what kind of meditation do you do, Theo?
What I do is I wake up in the morning, I say a prayer, I do a reading, and then I do 10 minutes of meditation. I just close my eyes. I just sit there, and if any thoughts come up, I try to just let them pass and not attach to them.
Cool.
I set my phone timer for 10 minutes, and that's it. And then I do like a written meditation after that where I'll just write for 10 minutes straight. Just whatever comes into my
Stream
head.
of consciousness.
Yeah.
That's great, man. You do that every day?
Mm-hmm. I've done that every day, man. I would say, or at least 6 days a week, I would say, for probably the past few months, 4 months maybe.
Wow. That's
Feels
incredible.
pretty good. It makes me feel a little bit more like I'm okay to think about stuff and not just be as reactive sometimes.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's amazing. That's a long 4 months of like that kind of practice is a big deal.
Yeah, it feels pretty good, man. But yeah, I think I went to. Well, let me think about that a little bit more. But yeah, I think Earth. I do believe in just going back to the aliens thing that I think that Earth it's that old theme park where it's like, dude, we're not driving all the way out there. There's nothing out there. All the information is these people are just trying to butt fuck and just looking at, and growing yard drugs. Like, we're not going over there again.
I'm picturing the alien display, like the Star Trek display as that pops up is what the analysis of planet Earth is. That's amazing. And they're just like, yeah, that's not worth our time.
Yeah.
We're not going to burn Vespine crystals to fucking go to that piece of shit.
Now, it will at some point, though, become hip with alien youth to come back here and do something, because that's how everything is.
Right.
Like, at some point it becomes cool to go to to go into graveyards. Like, there's always like there's 20 years where nobody gives a shit about graveyards. Nobody mentions them, blah, 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 blah. Even on Halloween, nobody's popping in. But then something flares up where graveyards are fucking popular again,
Man, my friend ran a graveyard, and it was a big problem. Goths fucking on the graves.
Really?
Yeah, they had a problem with goths fucking on the graves and peacocks.
Hey, wow.
I guess the peacocks, I can't remember the problem with the peacocks. Either they were like aggressive or they were too loud or something. But the main problem was at night, goths would like squirm in under the gate and just fuck on graves.
Yeah.
For some reason. It's like that's a bit like if you're running a graveyard, which by the way is apparently like a very profitable business, then you have to have a plan for what to do when people come and hump on the tombs, because there's I don't know what it is. There's some kind of, I went jogging in that graveyard once and I was so thirsty, Theo. And I turn on a spigot and just drink some water. And then I realized I'm drinking fucking graveyard. This is graveyard water. That's no way.
Grave gravy, baby. You're sipping on
gravy.
Yeah.
It didn't taste good either, man. It had a weird tang to it.
Yeah, that's fucking marrow, son.
Oh
God.
Oh God.
You could sell that though. There's no way you couldn't sell pure death filtered water.
Grave water.
Grave water.
They already had, what is it like? What's the new canned water Liquid Death? It's like that's their premium.
Yes.
Bottled at a cemetery in New Orleans that doesn't have great sanitation.
Yeah.
So you are getting, I don't know if you've seen, have you ever been to a shit cemetery? Speaking of shit theme parks, you ever been to and you smell, you can smell the death in some of the graves, like or the crypts.
Yeah, they're hatched open a little bit or somebody's,
Yeah.
People will get in there. People will steal a bone, I remember.
They love it.
Well, dude, I grew up in a neighborhood between a lot of people would drive from like the main thoroughfare in town, and then they would go through our neighborhood, which was pretty dumpy, and go on to like kind of wealthier areas. And we were right outside of the city limits or the town limits. I think we lived in a town. But a lot of people would just throw shit out, and once they got outside of the city limits, because there wasn't like you couldn't get a fine for it or whatever. So a lot of there was a veterinarian that would throw out all the animal shit in our yard, like into our ditch by us, right?
No.
Yeah, so they'd have dead animal carcasses out there all the time. So we were always beating each other with fucking fucking Bichon femurs and shit, or just whipping each other. If you got a fucking big Labrador or German Shepherd fucking tibia that came through, boy, we would beat the fuck out of each other with that.
Because you, for sure, they're telling the people who are euthanizing their animals, they're saying to them, don't worry, we're going to cremate these bodies and we're going to give you the ashes.
Yeah.
So what they have is probably just a pile of ash because it's probably expensive to run a cremation service for animals.
Oh, yeah.
So they're sending fake ash to the like grieving dog owners.
Or barbecue ash, something probably out of a pit. Yeah.
And so the dog owners have no idea that the fucking Vaughns are beating each other with their beloved dog's spine.
Whoop that trick. Remember that
Oh my
song?
God.
Whoop that trick.
So sad.
But it was crazy. We'd have all this. So we'd also we'd do like paleontology where like make cool animals
that's
and
fun.
bury them. And like there was some cool stuff like that. But yeah, after a while, my mom would get so pissed because the yard would always smell like dead animals,
Jesus Christ, man.
So we had this abundance of like dead animal smell, which is it's a tough smell to enjoy your childhood in, to want to play in,
That's horrible, man.
It was bad. And nobody cared at the city, man. So that's what made me hate government right out the gate, is like if we'd had a little more money, they would have come and got the animals out,
It's the beginning of a horror movie for sure. Like somebody like has their like demonic dog euthanized and is like, you have to make sure you cremate this fucking thing. And then
it's like, I'll cremate it, sure.
there you go. Of course we'll cremate it.
Yeah, I'll cremate that bitch right now.
Yeah, don't worry. Just throw it in the Vaughn's yard. The boys like to make art with the bones.
That one little fella, yeah.
Yeah, that's
They start calling him queer for no reason. Like, Jesus, he's just
Yeah.
playing with the bones, dude.
yeah, that's how you know for sure. Like that's really crazy, man. I'm just trying to picture like my childhood being defined by the waft of death. That's dark, man. That's dark. How long did that go on for?
Probably, I would say 3 years, probably. Maybe. And the summer, I think, was the worst because of the smell. And it would kind of happen in shifts. It wouldn't be like every day they would throw stuff out there, There'd be kind of a time of the month or whatever. I don't want to make it like, whatever that's called, periodical or whatever. But it'd be like a time of the month where the guy would just come and toss it all out there, or they'd run it through and toss it out at night.
I wonder why you picked your house.
Well, they just picked along our street.
Okay, I got you.
So I think because it was just right outside of city limits, and I
Okay,
think they
gotcha.
probably lived in like some of the nicer areas. So it was kind of this pass through McGee Street over there in Covington, Louisiana, and people would they'd throw all kind of stuff out over there. But I remember this one girl had a little collection of like the little necklace or the dog little things.
Like dog parts?
No, like little medallions. Some dogs wear like
She was collecting their
jewelry or
ID
something.
tags or something.
Yeah, like some dogs wear little jewelry, I guess, if they're like fucking, from Florida or whatever. I don't
Yeah.
even know why they would do it, but they
like
would.
bedazzled collars, like
Trixie
yeah.
or something,
Yeah.
or Fluffy or Buddy or whatever.
Yeah, that's weird,
But
man.
she had a little collection of those. But it was weird shit like that in our area. They had a prosthetic limb place by us, and we'd go in their dumpster sometimes and get a fucking extra limb out that bitch.
That's fun. I get that,
Yeah.
but yeah, I get that. I wouldn't, and I get like as a kid being excited in some weird way about having like animal carcasses in a ditch. Like that is interesting. There's something cool about that.
Yeah, it was interesting.
But it's gonna get old. That's all.
Yeah, and the waft of it was bad. That was the worst part. And I think my mom hated that. She hated, leaving us there and being under the waft of those animals probably. Because it just haunts everything.
Well, it's the smell of death. You're not supposed to like it. Like it's supposed to tell you, don't go here. This is a place that you might get killed. That's why we don't like it, right? This is a place where you might get eaten.
Yeah.
It smells like death here. That's a bear ate somebody, so don't go there.
Yeah.
So your DNA is telling you, you got to get the fuck out of here, man. Things
Yeah.
are dying here. And you're forced to live there.
Yeah, it was an interesting area, man. But yeah, I think that's the thing. There will come a time, and maybe it's coming now, because Alien seems to be the gaining popularity. I don't know if it's gaining popularity or if it's gaining like more sightings or whatever? What is this?
Yeah, this is actually pretty topical. NASA just held like a 4-hour press conference about UFOs for the first time, and they're basically admitting that it's a daily occurrence at this point. UFOs.
There's one thing that's happened since this weirdly boring NASA press conference where they did say this. Did you see the thing? There's now a whistleblower who has come forward and said that the United States has alien spaceship wreckage, and a congressman, I can't remember his name, gave a statement to the press saying they were debriefed that, in fact, we have alien wreckage, that and they're about to have hearings on it. So all the UFO people are, that's it, the "we're definitely not alone" thing. People are really freaking out right now because, this is what all the UFO people have been saying is coming. Disclosure. So it's that guy.
A whistleblower says he handed over classified evidence proving that a secret government program has been recovering spaceships and aliens for decades. We're definitely not alone, David Grush says. He's a former intelligence and military official. Republican Dean Phillips, a representative Dean Phillips from Minnesota, Democrat, added, "My first reaction is probably like everybody watching this, which is wow. And secondly, I'll believe it when I see it."
I mean, that's fair. You're not supposed to immediately believe UFO.
Oh no.
But what's interesting about this is that the denial that usually happens when things like someone says it's not really happening in the same way. And again, there was a congressman who said we were debriefed. Like, did you ever see that? So, like, they did hearings on UAPs a while ago, and then after the hearing, they debriefed the feds, the Congress. They debriefed them, and they did an interview with one of these representatives in the hallway after he just got told whatever the fuck they told him. And he said, you can find it on YouTube. He said something along the lines of, "Lock your doors and windows tonight, folks." That was his response. Like, whatever they told him inspired him to say we should lock our doors. Like, that's going to keep an alien out.
Yeah. Lock your doors after classified hearing on UFOs. A Louisiana senator. Now we're talking.
Yeah, man.
This is the same state that couldn't keep brothers outside of my head when I was a kid.
Dude, I'm telling you, you could this is nuts. You can watch. Are you allowed to show YouTube videos on here? There's a clip of him doing it. It's hilarious.
Is this him right here doing it?
Oh yeah, that's it.
Unidentified flying objects that a couple of weeks ago our skies were clear, and then all of a sudden we have spy balloons and other unidentified flying objects raining down on us like confetti. That is not accurate. These objects have been flying over us for years, many years. We've known about those objects for many years. We're not sure that we've known about all of them, but we've known about many of them, except for the Chinese spy balloon. We don't know what they are. What's different about the last 2 weeks is that we've started shooting them down. But we can't find the remnants, except for the spy balloon. And that's what I took away from the hearing today.
So I don't know if he paid attention during the whole hearing then.
No. Confetti. Raining down like confetti. It's a great descriptor.
Yeah, that's what I don't, I think, but maybe I could see if there's an alien life form, you shoot it, whatever.
Yeah.
And it dissipates. It's part of the way it's constructed is not to fall down to this. That would be the first thing I would make of something that can't leave evidence.
Right. Like, exactly. But, so, based on the stuff that's coming out right now, and, I love UFOs in the same way I love, stories about magic and miracles. But I don't go full bore into it because ultimately, day-to-day reality isn't impacted mundane reality,
right?
Like taking care of the kids, paying the mortgage. So you can get too distracted by that stuff and spin out. But this moment in United States history is really fascinating in the sense that if we go back to Roswell, it was a weather balloon. That's what they say. Even though there's like many accounts of people saying that they saw aliens, there was weird wreckage that seemed to be able to, like, you could bend it out of shape and it would go back into the form it was. Just like weird shit.
Right.
This gets denied by the government. It was wreckage, weird stories about it, whatever. We get Area 51, you know what I mean? Like that has its own airplane that flies people in. You get a variety of like early phase government whistleblowers like Lazar, I think is his name.
Alan Lazar?
Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar, yeah.
Bob Lazar. You get like that. And then these people get creamed in the media. It's like, that's a lunatic. He never worked at Area 51. This is bullshit. He's like a con artist, whatever. But now what's happening is instead of the denial that generally follows the whistleblower's admission of us like having some connection to aliens, it's not getting denied as much anymore. And in fact, this whistleblower program they just created makes it so anyone who signed an NDA, who's a private contractor and has been assigned to work on alien wreckage, can now come forward and say, I worked on this shit, and they get full immunity. Because that apparently was the back door. Like, so there was these programs you could hire, like, I don't know, name any, like Raytheon. I don't know for sure. I don't know if they have wreckage. I'm just throwing out like a defense contract.
Raytheon.
Hire Raytheon.
Duracell.
Hire Duracell. Say, look, we've got this ship. It crashed. Can you guys hang on to it? Try to reverse engineer it. And so now a private contractor's collected the wreckage, has the wreckage, meaning if you're asked under oath, do we have wreckage? You could say no. And because we don't. A private contractor has the wreckage. That was the loophole. So now they set up this whistleblower program, and all these people like that guy are starting to come out. People who just like worked at Hyundai or I don't know, worked at like
Dodge Neon.
And they were like, hey, what can you reverse engineer this thing that seems to be bending the time-space continuum? And they're like, no, but they couldn't say anything about it because they signed these hardcore NDAs. So now they're all leaking the data. So we're getting this weird, slow leak from all these people that's painting a picture.
And that's a real program that they allow. Now, how did that program get created, the whistleblower program?
So what was happening was, well, the biggest problem is like people, apparently people get around these things. And everyone listening, you can look all this up. It's like I've got the documents.
It's documented.
It's real. Like, it's not like it's real. You can find all this stuff. But the biggest problem is you're a Navy pilot.
Yeah.
And you see something that is not functioning according to your understanding.
Not kosher. Seems odd.
It's going so fast. It's stopping. It's just stopping like it's a cursor on a computer screen. Then it's going the opposite direction. It's jamming your radar. It doesn't seem to have windows, right? So you see that and your choices are, do I say I saw what is obviously a UFO? And if you do, you could really like fuck your career up.
Yeah.
So you couldn't talk about it. The other problem is that apparently people who get too close to these things, there's a physiological impact. So let's imagine you got close to one of these things and now you're sick. The VA won't pay for it.
Right.
Because there are no UFOs. What are you talking about? And so inadvertently you end up creating a situation where people won't say what they're seeing up in the sky.
Right.
Which isn't great if you're trying to defend the sky. We want to know what's out there. You want to know everything that's flying through U.S. airspace, right? So yeah, the whistleblower program was, I think, initially to kind of create a safe way. A safe haven.
Where people could say, okay, this is what I saw. I don't want to endanger myself. I don't want to endanger not being able to get medical care and things like that.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, and now it's sort of like, now that it's working, it's, all you need is like one person to come forward. It's like Me Too for aliens. Just one person, then the next person, then the next person, then the next person. That's what's happening. Yeah. All these people who've kept this shit like completely secret.
Oh, I'm sure bottled up. Imagine the people that have molested people or something just because they saw an alien and they didn't know how to process it.
Or went insane, or like, so many things.
Yeah, beat their spouse, or just imagine a guy, he saw something in his whole life. He spent hiding things from him, like taking anything and hiding. Like just weird. There's weird ways that people react to things that seem beyond them.
Yeah, it eats you alive. And then add to it that apparently these people have been threatened with death, that whoever's running this shit is not fucking around. They don't want the general populace. They don't want the world to know that this has happened, because apparently, and again, this is just conjecture here, obviously from a military perspective, if you figure out how those things can fly and you build a fleet of them, it's like the new atom bomb. Like you have complete superiority in the sky. And like, if you're living in the United States right now, you want us to be the ones.
You want to be first.
You don't want some other country who they apparently all have this shit to like win this race.
But what about Mexico, dog? They don't have the fucking strongest. They're like, dog, these motherfuckers, dog.
That'd be incredible if all of a sudden they have the most advanced Air Force.
Some guy just comes up with the fucking, and bro, it's the lowest riding UFO ever. Like the UFO is only like 2 inches off the ground. Like, dog, this bitch is fucking, it goes too high, dog. This bitch goes too fucking high, dog. That would be so sick,
dude.
Bro.
You're right. It would be interesting. Like whoever gets it is going to be fucking cool.
We should have a show where every country brings their latest UFO aircraft that they made, bro.
Amazing. That would be the best show.
Skin care. A lot of females do it. You see a female in God, their skin just looks like somebody just damn cared about it. Like, man, what's your skin? How much people care about your skin? Well, men often can't find the right brand or simply lack knowledge and understanding of skin care. It's really easy. You want to wash your skin. You want to put a nice base on it, some type of a conditioner or moisturizer. And then you want to maybe throw an SPF on there. That's right. If you're going to the mall and you're going to go try and meet some ladies, you want to put something on, fellas. You want to shine up a little bit. Nothing crazy. No glitter, nothing, nothing that's going to make somebody run out of a TGI Fridays and hug you or whatever. But you want to look smooth and you want to look comfortable, and your skin wants to look nice. Your skin is your skin is the front door of your organs, man. That's right. Caldera Lab is the leader in men's skin care. They have high performance goods. They do. And the regimen bundle that they offer, the clean slate, the base layer, and the good. Use our exclusive code Theo at Caldera Lab to enjoy 20% off their best products. That's CALDERALAB.com to enjoy 20% off their best products. And I use Caldera. I like it. I like Caldera. I like putting it on, and I like feeling it on my face and feeling joyous and happy. Get 20% off with our code Theo at calderalab.com. That's 20% off at CALDERALAB.com by using code Theo. Take your health to the next level in skincare with Caldera Lab. We've reached that part of the show that nobody ever skips, and is sponsored by Lucy Nicotine. That's right. Lucy's tobacco-free gum, pouches, and breakers are intelligent nicotine options for upstanding, responsible adults like yourself. All Lucy products have 3 things in common: no tobacco, delicious flavors, and powerful nicotine. Shipping is always free, and there's a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. I've been trying to ease off vaping, and Lucy sent me a bunch of gum, and I'm looking forward to trying that out. They got wonderful flavors over there with their gum. I know they got pomegranate, mint, and mango. They do them. That's who does it. Lucy. Visit Lucy, LUCY.co, and use promo code Theo to get 20% off your first order. That's LUCY.co. CO, promo code Theo, to receive 20% off and always free shipping. That's right. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Dude, it's an exciting time, man. It's like whatever it is, even if it's, because at this point,
it is exciting.
It's exciting. Like, and what are you going to do about it? Like,
right. What are you going to do about it? All you're going to do is stay alive.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And yeah, fine. You can't let it affect all this stuff affect you that much.
No.
Like, you have to have some tongue-in-cheek look at all of it.
Right. Just enjoy
Right.
the fact that you get to live in a time period in American history where the federal government seems to no longer be denying the thing that people have been saying forever.
But here's my question then would be, what's in it for the federal government that they would now not deny it?
Well, I think that's one of the most important questions regarding this situation is why? Why suddenly are they kind of slow leaking this information? Like, I don't know the answer to that. Like, I have no idea. Like,
well, some things could be, I mean, just off the top of my head is if they want us to believe in some sort of universal protector then that will come along.
Right.
Like something, some organization, some like insurance against aliens in a way, not an actual, like you pay $40 a month, but like,
right.
Like as in creating some new world, or, if there's that part of that regime that like, this one world order type of thing, if they, I'm just trying to think of the upside. What does somebody gain? Do we need a new enemy? Are they realizing that like religion isn't working enough on people anymore, or the fear of there's not enough fear imposed on people at them? I don't know. Or it could just be that
that's Blue Beam. You're talking about Blue Beam. That's the big conspiracy theory. That's like essentially like there's two possibilities. The one you just said, which I guess if you're going to do like Occam's razor, that is the most likely one, right?
What is Occam's razor?
The simplest solution is generally the solution.
Got it.
So in this case, it's more likely this is a human operation than aliens, based on our understanding of physics and the distance of habitable galaxies where they have planets in the Goldilocks region, the amount of time it would take to get here based on what we understand about how fast you can go. Probably if you're gonna bet it's not an alien, right? In Vegas, if you're betting, you should always bet that's not an alien. That's a human thing.
Right.
You're gonna win most of the time.
Right.
So that is one of the possibilities. It's very sinister. The idea being there's some social control benefit related to tricking the population of the planet into thinking there's aliens.
That's probably not the Occam's razor of it then.
I mean, the other side of it is, well, we live on a planet that's been being visited by a variety of alien species that more than likely genetically engineered us a long time ago and like shifted us from proto-hominids into what we are now, probably for a reason that we're not going to like they were Roombas or something. I mean, that's one of the theories is they just wanted gold. So they genetically engineered us to like gold. So we naturally mine fucking gold for them because we like shiny shit. We like gold. And they use it as some kind of fuel.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen Basketball Wives, dude?
No.
That the whole show's about
that.
that.
Gold. Right. They love gold.
It's crazy. It's like, what are we even doing here?
Right. It doesn't make sense. Like, why do you like this shiny, stupid, heavy fucking metal? Why are you into that so much? There's so many other cooler metals out there. Yeah. But gold obsession is a real thing. So the theory is these Anunnaki programmed us to like gold because they need it for their spaceships. They didn't give a shit about us. They're just like,
we'll just farm some gold here.
That's it. Brilliant from that perspective. So that to me is a far more complex and weird explanation than just the military-industrial complex has like networked with other governments. And they're like, I think they're at the point they're so fucking dumb. They're going to believe there's aliens and like we can manipulate them.
That's what it seems like. That's what it would seem like to me. Cause I don't know unless they're like, we're getting to the point where so many people are being like, there's so much evidence the more you make me think this is not real, the more I'm just thinking you are not honest.
Right.
Like at a certain point, the residual effect of the magic trick isn't it doesn't cause the beautiful deception anymore. It causes you to hate the magician.
Exactly.
So that's the thing that's weird, bro, is like, you know, why? And look, I would love to see it. Would I like to meet an alien? I don't know, dude.
You would. Give me a break. You know, just from our few podcasts together and conversations we had, wouldn't you like it? Of course you'd like to meet an alien. It'd be the coolest thing ever. Don't you want to know what they smell like? No one ever talks about that. What do they smell like? What does a gray alien's head smell like?
Yeah.
Is it bitter? Is it a stinky smell? Is it fishy?
If they're fishy, dude, I'm out.
That would suck.
Bro, how much would the smell of aliens depend on how much we give a fuck about them anymore?
A lot.
Huge, bro. If they smell anything like a Korean pet store, dude, I'm fucking gone.
Dude, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Spoiler, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to spoil it. At the very end, the guy who's been building the Mud Mountains happily walks into the spaceship, the beautiful musical spaceship. Imagine the fucking thing closes and you catch that first waft of deep, like fish laying out in the beach smell as you're like light speed heading away from the planet. And that's going to be what you smell forever as you look out at the vastness of space, black holes, all the beauty of space. All you can think about is there's just this stink, rotting eggs and fucking fish.
Bro, we would hate them, aliens. Immediately we would hate them. Like, these stinky motherfuckers.
Smell so bad. And they refuse to like take showers and baths. They're like, no, we don't do that. Yeah. No, we'll evaporate you before we'll take a fucking shower. No. Dude. We're the advanced intelligence. You're supposed to stink. They're like, no, this is one of the many things we figured out.
Yeah.
If you don't stink, you haven't evolved. Like we used to not stink. And then we learned this is our purpose here, to emit foul odors.
Dude, I wonder also the odors that we closet so much now, right? Like from shaving, washing, and all the things that we do and use in ointments. How much of that we're like taking out of like, how much other stuff would I gather about you if you came in with 80 days of hot smell on you, 80 days of fresh Duncan on you.
Post-Burning Man Duncan.
Yeah. You come fucking rolling in. You've been hugging your kid. You've been with your wife. You worked a couple of long weeks, right?
Yeah.
You fucking been on 7 flights. Like,
yeah.
But you get the full, like, I wonder how much are we killing off, like, some of that, to go back to that like scan of people, like how much of that was in our brains that we knew how to scan, that we were able to gather more.
Right.
Like, what if we were the aliens initially?
I got you.
And we've dumbed ourselves. We've killed off all of those things.
I got you. Yeah, man, I got you. It's like there's this. I heard of this study where they took. And I don't know how they did this, and I'm not a scientist. And honestly, when I hear about studies, maybe 1 out of 100, I try to actually read the study. And then when I do try, I realize how dumb I am. I'm like, I don't understand statistics. But so, all that being said, apparently in a study, they found like good genetic matches for women. And they, like, based on their genetics and this person's genetics, somehow this is like they would theoretically make a great baby. So they take these dudes' shirts, put them in Ziploc bags, and they let the women just smell the shirts. So the women are like smelling like, 10 shirts, and they're like, pick the one that you would want to go on a date with, right? And so apparently all of them picked the right genetic match based on the stink of the shirt.
Wow.
But the ones who didn't, they were on birth control. So there was some weird connection to like, something about that was cutting off what you're talking about, the ability to discern from someone's stink. It's some subliminal level what's going on with them. And Yeah, man, it's a good question. Like, how much of the problems we're having right now are just because we don't stink enough? Like, we're supposed to smell. You're supposed to smell horrible all day long. Honest stink, good stink. I would hate that world, though, man. I would. I like not stinking.
Yeah, I've grown accustomed to it. Now, if you gateway stank me, if you did some gateway stanking where like somebody stopped by that stank, or you put me in an Uber for 4 minutes and like, oh, that guy stinks.
Yeah.
And then next day you do me a 6-minute Uber, and then 2 days later I have to, I have to sleep overnight at a buddy's apartment who lives right next door to like, Canterbury Row or whatever. What was that place that guy always talked about? Cannery Row.
Cannery Row.
Right. So like if you keep upping the stink on me, where eventually I fucking wanted something that stank.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I wanted to meet a bitch by the sand in fucking Oahu.
It's hot.
Or in Kyohi or somewhere.
It's nice, isn't it? It's nice that the non-sterilized human. It's not like it's a terrible smell. And how much of what we consider to be like BO is actually just all the weird shit they put in our food? How much of it is just our body's desperate attempts to vent like Cheetos? Where your body's like, I got to get this shit out. It's like, they're dumping Fukushima right now. They don't know what to do with the Fukushima radioactive water, and they're dumping it in the ocean. It's like that. Our bodies are just trying to get the poisons out of us. Like, think of like when you drink a lot, that next day, you smell like booze. It's so gross.
Oh, it's crazy. We've had when we're touring, we've had tour people come on the tour who drink a lot. And in the morning, you'll walk through like the little like the part where the bunks are and the people are sleeping in there.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, oh my God. And since I don't drink, I can smell almost what they've had sometimes.
It's crazy.
Like they've had beer, they've had vodka.
Or when your piss smells like coffee. I don't know if that's ever, or I don't know if you've ever eaten so much weed that your BO starts smelling like weed. It happens. It's just, it happens. And I've heard, now this is probably bullshit, that
probably isn't.
Like saints, like gurus, people who've meditated their whole lives, who've gained enlightenment, they smell different. Like they smell sweet and perfumey. Like the original smell of humans was,
Look at Filipinos.
What do you mean?
Filipinos, I couldn't name 7 Filipinos that don't smell good.
Really? Or wait, you're using them as an example of like a bad smell?
No, I think they're enlightened people.
Oh, they smell good. Oh, I gotcha. Man, it's probably a mark against me that I'm not familiar with the smell of Filipinos. That's sad.
I wonder if one ethnicity doesn't filter as well as the other. I'm sure. We all have so many differences. Whitney Cummings is having a baby.
What? That's amazing. I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow, when did that?
I smelled it on her.
You smelled the baby?
Oh, yeah, that would have been good. What's that, huh?
You're growing life, Whitney.
See, I bet in the old days that was possible. There's no way you couldn't roll up on somebody and smell if they were in a relationship, if they were sad, if they had probably defecated recently, if they had a birthday.
Right. You just named everything that happened to me today.
But think about all the things in a smell because it's like, there's a lot of stuff. Dude, sight gives you so many clues, bro. You ever been on a little bit of mushrooms or something?
Oh, yeah.
Or done some ayahuasca and you can tell somebody's entire life story by looking right in their eyes, and you're right?
Dude, this is why I don't do acid in public anymore. Because, you might be having a great time, but then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, you literally experience a person's consciousness. Like it transfers to you. Yeah. You see the pain. You see the sadness, the anger, the bitterness, the heartbreak. And you just wanted to have fun. You wanted to go out to a bar and drink, but suddenly you're being inundated by a person.
And you're like, what happened to you?
Yeah, man. That's
and they're like, Randy's dead. And you're like, God.
I think this is why, like, clairvoyance, you hear clairvoyants complain and stuff, or like psychics or whatever. They don't like it. They don't want to be sensitive like that because that's their daily experience, is just getting blasted by people's karma, and it hurts and you don't know what to do.
Yeah, I could imagine. I think there's also probably a lot of lazy psychics out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're like, ugh, yeah. Here comes a little bit more information about, Brenda,
They don't give it all.
Yeah,
They know it'll open a can of worms. Like, I'm going to fucking ignore that. Their grandmother is like talking to the psychic. She killed me. She fucking burned my body in hydrochloric acid, poured me in Theo Vaughn's yard.
Yeah.
Please call the police. And the psychic's like, fuck that.
The psychic's like, Grandma says hello.
Yeah, she loves you.
Yeah, she loves you.
She loves you.
Yeah.
She's happy you're doing well.
Yeah, and she just wanted me to say yes. She thinks you have a beautiful yard or something. She makes it, yeah.
That sucks, man. I don't like getting around psychics and also masseuses I get creeped out by, because I feel like sometimes masseuses are often weirdly psychic because they're touching bodies all day. And I get creeped out. Like, are you detecting something?
Right.
Are you sensing some psychic blockage that I need to be working on that you're afraid to tell me?
It makes sense that they can do it. Some of them can. They have all those Reiki healers and those people that are really... What is Reiki? Let's bring it up, Zachary, please. Have you heard of this stuff, Duncan?
Yeah.
It's therapy. Reiki therapy is a way of guiding energy throughout. Guiding energy. It's based on the idea that we all have an unseen life force energy that flows through our bodies. According to the International Center for Reiki Training, a Reiki practitioner gently moves her hands. So it seems to be, and I've seen this as well, I've only been offered Reiki from a woman, removes her hands just above or on the client's clothed body with the intention of reducing stress and promoting healing by encouraging a healthy flow of energy. Yeah, it's like, how much of a vessel are we? Let me hit that ripper.
You got it, man.
been
I was
off of
feeling
them, but,
guilty.
man.
Oh, no, don't do it.
Huh?
Don't re-trigger it, man. Don't re-trigger it, Theo. It's a horrible addiction.
I know it is.
I want out. I've been thinking about getting acupuncture. Go ahead. It's actually a very good vape. It's a nice flavor. What do you think? Isn't that great?
It is really good, man.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. This
I'm
is our lives,
sorry.
man.
No, I came in here and poisoned you. It's a contagion. I triggered your I triggered you. You had to have it. I'm so sorry. This is the problem.
Yeah.
When you're an
But I
addict,
wanted it.
It's good. And also that particular one has this weird heft to it that I like.
Yeah, it feels sturdier, kind of like a Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Yeah, or like a carpenter's vape. It's like a industrial
Keep
vape.
it on the belt.
Energy blockage, man.
That does it to me.
Yes, this is what I don't want to get into vape lecturing anyone. Everyone's addicted to this shit right now. But I'm listening to this great book. I think it's called Why We Meditate. It's so good. And basically the idea is many people, me included, are in a hurry, rushing around. And the reason we're in a hurry is because we have this speedy kind of energy in our chest. It's that feeling when you're like, fuck, I gotta go. I gotta do this, get to that thing.
You should have seen me when I rolled in here. I'm sorry, Zach. I want to apologize again.
Me too. I was excited to see you, but also I'm like, fuck, I'm late. You're doing this weird speedy thing. Well, what's triggering that is energy. That, anyone who out there is anxious or feeling in a hurry or freaked out right now, you could just tune into it like easily. You just feel it. It's like a fast kind of buzzing sort of weird energy in your chest generally, or
it's hard to get rid of it.
Well, right. Well, it's a block. So according to this book, that energy is supposed to be under your belly button, not up in your chest. Like your energy's gotten all fucked up, but now it's all stuck in your chest. And so, via meditation, breathing exercises, the idea is over time you sort of retrain yourself to get that energy throughout your whole body. It's like it's not supposed to be just here. Imagine if you could spread it out, like nice peanut butter over your entire psychic body, that would be very powerful. It's just not supposed to be right. You're not supposed to be freebasing the anxiety.
Yeah, I feel like that's the culture we're in now, where we are freebasing our own anxiety.
Yeah, man. We have boiled it down to like just a granular, powerful rock. It's like fentanyl. We've done the same thing fentanyl did for heroin. We just figured out a way to just hyper accentuate our anxiety. And coffee doesn't help. I mean, also in Red Bull.
Nothing else, man. Sorry to yawn in here, but I think that was like my body saying, hey, man, we're trying to slow it down.
Do you feel overwhelmed? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
You
I
have
feel
one of the
overwhelmed
top podcasts right now.
We've been fortunate. And I want to come on your show, too.
Thank you.
I owe you that.
Thank you.
I know a few years ago we had talked about it.
Dude.
And I don't know if you asked me or not. And then I think the pandemic happened. And I think I said that I was... there was a time where I was going through a space where I could barely even talk to people at all.
Oh my God.
So, but let's get that done here. And I don't know if you can do it over Zoom. If not, I'll
Zoom. It's all mine's easy. It's all remote. You don't have to be anywhere at your convenience. You're busy, man. You're touring all the time.
But I want to do it soon. I want to do it in the next month or two so that we can. I want to bury that. That's been a little bit of a hatchet for me in my life. Is that I know I brought it up. I said I wanted to do it and never did it.
Thank you, Theo. Apology accepted. It's so fun just to spend time with you.
Oh yeah, same.
Talk.
That's what I'm realizing. I'm
it.
realizing I'm missing out sometimes on getting to spend time with people because I get so caught up in my own responsibilities.
Well, podcasts are friendship dates. Did you know that? That's what it is. It's a date for friendship. It's how
I just
meet all my
realized that the other
friends.
day. I realized I went to do Rogan and I knew I was gonna be in town for a bit, but he's so busy. I mean, his I can't even imagine how just busy or responsibilities he has. He's also a father.
Yeah.
You're a father. So I realized, man, I should have used that time with him on the show to be our friendship time.
Right.
And sometimes I think of those times more as I do think of it as, but I could have brought to him more like questions I have about things where I could have used some guidance or some suggestions or sometimes I don't know why I sometimes don't do that, you know. And I think with Joe we're still getting to know each other some.
Yeah.
And his is such a big show. I think you are nervous as well, but
you know, that is like the abyss of that show is the moment you start thinking about how many people watch it. It's scary if you let your mind go there, man. I really try not to do that. Like before I do his show, it's so easy to think about that. And then you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, this is like the top podcast on earth. But yours is like the second. I saw we were scrolling through something. I don't know what it was, but I mean, shit.
We've been real fortunate, man. You know, we've been real fortunate.
Well, you're funny too. I mean, you're super funny. I see your stuff pop up on my wife makes fun of me because I do Instagram Reels instead of TikTok. And she thinks that's an old man thing to do.
Oh, really?
But your stuff pops up a lot. It's very fun. It's like, I love watching it.
Thanks,
it always
man.
makes me laugh.
Yeah, we got all kinds of neat stuff out there. Well, I think also you're such a unique thinker, man. I think that we're going to need you more and more in the future. Are you feeling that whatever gifts you were kind of given, because I know in the beginning you were basically really just a comedian, right?
Yeah.
Was that your original goal?
Dude, I wish I could say I had an original goal. That's my problem. It's so
malleable,
chaotic. And also I really try as much as possible, not out of not spiritual high road in here, but I try to stay in the present moment, not because of this is where you should be to find peace, but because, man, when I go too far up here or I go into the future or I go into the past, I just freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
But if I'm here in the moment and just letting the moment happen, it's so wonderful. And then when I start thinking what the fuck am I? Am I a podcaster, a comedian? And am I a voice actor? What the fuck am I? I freak out because it's I have no idea.
Yeah.
So it just seems easier to be all right.
Let's just go with the punches and be who I am.
Yeah.
Right.
And hope for the fucking best, right? Because that's all you can really do. I mean, honestly, looking at the world right now as it is, it's come on. Are we really going to have a next week?
Right.
you think we're going to have a next month?
I don't know. I mean, there's aliens on the front porch.
Yes.
There's fucking people are fighting. We don't even know who's really behind the fighting. There's like old war debts and like IOUs from companies that are like from BlackRock and Slumberjay that are probably still are milling around in the distance
Yes.
of invoices being sent to countries, and people have died in wars that we don't even know if they were given the right reason they were fighting for.
Oh, you mean the this is the crazy thing about the Russia thing, man. These are conscripts. Like everyone's
What's a conscript?
It means that you are drafted. And the real problem with all the people celebrating the death of Russian soldiers like they're fucking blow up dolls is that I get not liking a dictator, Putin, and fucking invaded Ukraine. Fuck you. But you can't forget, and this is the paradox, a lot of those people on the front lines getting blown up by drones were political prisoners.
Right.
That got forced to go fight in a goddamn meat grinder by the dude who arrested them because they tried to get him out of office.
Wow. Imagine that.
You know what I mean, man? It's really sad. It's like these are, I mean, I don't know who's in jail in Russia.
Yeah.
I imagine there's some really scary people in Russian jails
Yeah.
who did horrible things. But I know for sure a lot of people in Russian jails are people who just protested like the government.
Yeah.
And those are the ones who are on the front fucking lines. So it's like you can't really celebrate the fact that some majority or some percentage of them are were actually activists. Some percentage of them were just trying to make more democracy happen in Russia.
Yeah.
And they got arrested. So yeah, man, exactly. World War III. By the way, I'm not trying to get all negative here.
No, we're just looking at the landscape of things. I think most people are thinking that.
But here right now, hanging out with you, talking, telling stories, and for most people, you know, this moment is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, look how beautiful, even like in a podcast studio where there's like cameras and lights, just like how cool it is just to exist. There's color and
oh yeah, existing is great, man. You have to remember that hey, at least I get to be here for whatever this is.
yeah.
At least nature gave me I've gotten to come to the edge of the fishbowl for a moment and whatever the existence of the universe is and have open eyes and see something like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's all gonna fucking disappear. So it's like the fact that we're even getting to see a little bit of it or have feelings like love or jerking off or hugging somebody or eating some salmon or something. You're having some, you know, you're getting to have some unique moments or having a child and hugging your child and getting your child a chocolate or something, you know, it's nice, man.
It's the best. And that, like, the thing I've realized lately is the amount of anxiety or worry that I'm experiencing in the present moment, if I let myself worry about some future catastrophe, is actually worse than if the catastrophe happened.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like,
Totally.
Like you imagine the thing you're most afraid of happening, whatever it may be. And then think about how bad you feel as you worry over it versus the day after that rotten thing happens. So it's like you're worse off and it hasn't even happened than if it did happen.
Yeah, you're already suffering
Yes.
an outcome that you don't even know if it's real or not. And 9 out of 10 times, it's not as bad.
Not as bad 9 out of 10 times, whatever it is. I mean, obviously there's a few things that are going to be worse than feeling anxious. Getting like slowly eaten by a bear.
Yeah.
That's going to be worse than like whatever your emotional state is. But most things,
Pretty cool.
and probably death too, I imagine. I imagine death is like the ultimate version of like, fuck, I spent my whole life worrying about this.
Right. This is real chill.
This is great.
Yeah. It's probably like going through one of those turnstile things. Like it's a little wonky at first and you bump into it and you're like, oh, this thing doesn't even fucking open. Do I have the right thing? And then it opens. You're like, oh,
Right.
here we are.
Here we are again. This is where I always come. And it's beautiful. And like every single day, I was like trying to protect myself from this. You know what? I'll do it again. And then you reincarnate again. And eventually, maybe you figure it out.
Do you think everybody gets drafted for reincarnation? I don't think so.
What do you mean?
Do you think God redrafts? Does everybody get drafted for reincarnation?
You the model I like for reincarnation is that it is that you don't have to, but you probably will, and that you've been doing it forever. Like the amount of time, if you're a human, you've been incarnating so many times it's impossible to even imagine how long you've been reappearing.
I don't know. Some people are brand new humans, though. You ever get that fresh out the box, motherfucker? You're like, damn, this is your first lap on this pony, homie. You know? He's like trying to get on the horse. He's like, I don't know what to do, you know?
I've been a bumblebee for the last 6,000 incarnations. You want me to suddenly be a fucking human, drive a car? Yeah, man. Yeah, I think it's possible.
He's just fucking driving Uber and just hand eating honey out of a jar the whole time.
I was a fly, I was a slug, and I'm a human now. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
have some patience. Have patience. Those people should have a little sign on that says, look, this is the last 7 things I was. So cut me a little bit of slack here. Like, damn, this guy was a daddy long legs 4 times in a row.
I was a bacteria.
And now he's Luka Doncic. Jesus Christ, man. Have some support for the guy.
Give him a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, it's bullshit. It's like there's all these old souls floating around, like acting like this human thing is easy, flowing with every moment, and making it see. It's like, no, fuck you. You're like the guy at the gym. You're like the guy at the gym with a 6-pack and the perfect fucking body who's been working out their whole lives.
And that belt, and he has the weight just hanging off the belt the whole time he's at the gym. What is that?
What is that?
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I think this is why I love, even if it's not real, reincarnation as a method for being compassionate to yourself. Because it's like, you don't know what you were in your last lifetime. You want to talk about epigenetics affecting current behavior patterns. According to these ideas, your past lives and decisions you've made in your past lives are flowering right now and at the present moment. So when you're beating yourself up, you know, about this or that, it could be that really what you're experiencing is karma from the time you thought it would be funny to grab the baby out of the baby carriage and throw it in front of a truck or something in the early 40s.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? You don't know what the bad luck you're experiencing is necessarily originating from.
Right. This could be some guy, a previous life. You're paying the debts of a previous existence.
Exactly. So you just take it easy on yourself. Take it easy on yourself because it's, who knows?
Well, it's hard to stomach. And I think, though, that if we lived still in tribal communities and stuff, and there was a lot more connectivity between past lives, and we honored like who had died previously and this and that, and we were still connected to them, I think then you would have more like compassion from your group. Like, oh, what you're dealing with now is what grandfather so-and-so did, and you know it's still making its way out of the out of the DNA back into nature. Yeah, Whitney's having that baby, man.
Congratulations, Mazel Tov, Whitney. That's great. That's great. It's so cool. It's the best.
Did you guys ever date, you and Whitney?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Never dated. Did you want it?
I think maybe, you know, I wouldn't have minded maybe a date or something, probably.
Yeah, of course.
I think there's something that happens as you get older if you don't have a family, when women start to get knocked up, or when people start to sparse off. My best friend Scott just got engaged, where you start thinking like, oh
shit, I know what you're talking about. You're experiencing a version of what we're all going to experience in our 70s. My meditation teacher's teacher, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, said to him, when you get old, your friends start dying like flies. Just dying. So now what you're experiencing is like pre-death. They're going into a new life. They're being reincarnated as a parent. And you know, no matter what they're saying, no matter how much comfort they may or may not be offering you regarding their presence in your life, you know, it's just not, they're going to blink out of your reality for a little bit.
It's going to change, yeah.
It's going to change. It has to. Everything shifts. Everything. And there's just like no way around that. I mean, kids it's a full-time experience. You want to hang out.
Yeah.
And you know what we experience? The breeders, we experience our friends eventually being like, not asking us if we want to go get a drink anymore. Because they know, because every time they ask, like, fuck, got to get a babysitter. Oh, I can't. I'm doing this or that. And then, so it sucks at that level, man. I mean, it takes extra discipline. Wow. I'm sorry, man. You know what? Maybe it's time.
Yeah.
To start seeking your life partner.
I think some of that is true too, you know. I think when I went to, and I did ayahuasca, I think it was probably maybe a year ago, right? And so that was the first time that I started having an experience with like the younger me, like the child me, you know,
Yeah.
and realizing that I just had never wanted to grow up because I never got to be the child I wanted to be, right?
Right.
I had this, and I'm not like having self-pity. I'm not trying to just like, oh. But there was a lot of, I think I had held a huge grudge against the world and then of just life, the way things had played out, that I hadn't gotten to have the childhood I wanted, you know?
Right.
And there wasn't enough lessons in it that helped me to easily adapt into the world. And so but I didn't realize that until ayahuasca, because then you're right there with your younger self, you know?
Yeah.
And that was pretty crazy. Be like, oh, wow. You know, it's time for me to be a parent. Somebody at some point has to be a parent to this child inside of me.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'll just forever be this child inside of me. So if I want to have an adult life as well, then I'm going to have to start to evolve some, you know?
Yeah.
And some of that's kind of sad because you're basically watching this child, like, you know, you're helping this child grow up, but you're letting this child know, like, hey, you know, I'll take it from here. I love you. I'm going to take care of you. You're not going to be able to run the show all the time anymore because we got to grow up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, what's being a parent, you go through these little micro griefs because, you know, it starts off, you were so in love with this baby. You're so in love with like how, like just what it feels like to hold your kid. But they grow.
Yeah.
And that baby goes away. It's gone. And there's a period where you're like, fuck, this is so sad. This like beautiful like kid is gonna like change into something else. But then the next phase, you realize, oh, I love what this being is becoming. And so that moment, that weird liminal moment between like lives, because I think people reincarnate in a lifetime. Like what you're talking about, it is a weird form of, it's not physical death.
Yeah.
But it is. You're letting go of something.
Oh, it feels like that a lot.
Yeah, man.
It really does. I can feel it. There's moments I have where I can feel it, and I can feel myself doing certain things that are like, okay, I'm going to put this child to bed, you know, put this not let this, you know, this child's going to start to grow up. You know, he has to. It's been too long. Yeah. If he wants to have a family of his own, if he wants to be a father and be these things, he's going to have to.
Dude, you'd be a great dad.
Grow up. Thanks, man.
Do you know the gift of having a sort of tumultuous childhood is that you when you have a kid, like, I mean, you get to fix that a little bit. Like you won't fix it completely. Like that's so crazy when like aspects of your parents that maybe weren't the most evolved bubble out of you.
Oh, yeah.
And you realize, shit, this is why my parents were acting the way they were acting. They probably tried to stop this thing too. It's very hard. But you have a real reason to evolve because you don't want to like impact your kids in a dark way. So man, I'm telling you, from a like spiritual, like it's a brain scan, man. Like you will understand so much more about your parents, mainly how much they loved you. Mainly you'll understand, holy fuck, they love me so much. There's no way you can't feel this for your kid. And they tried their best. Yeah. They tried their fucking best. And that's a really wild thing because then you have to forgive them. Like if you were carrying a chip on your shoulder about this or that, the chip will dissolve a little bit. But
I got a fucking 12-pack of Pringles on my back, dude. I've carried them, I think.
That's a lot of Pringles, man.
I know. Yeah. I've carried them a lot. I do 12-step. I'm trying to get through some of it. I just have to work a little bit harder, and some of it takes time, too. You know,
Yes.
I've always been a slow evolver. I've been a really hard decider in my life. Everything's really slow. So
Yeah, man.
some of it's just who I am, you know?
Slow is good. Fast is suspicious. Slow means you like when you do slow change, that's real change. Fast change, whenever I do fast
Ooh, it
change,
makes me nervous.
that's like month-long, it'll last for a month. When I do a fast, whatever the fucking thing is. And you should be suspicious of anyone pitching fast change to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work like that. It's slow, and it's supposed to be. And you don't need to be anything other than the way you are right now,
Right.
man. Like, that's just fine. Like, this is fine. Like, I'll tell you, when I met my wife, like, I'd heard all these cheesy fucks who got married and had kids say, I knew we were going to get married. I knew we were going to have kids. And I was like, okay, whatever. That's such horse shit.
Yeah.
And then it happened to me. It wasn't like
What happened? You just started talking to her, and what happened? Let me hit that ripper one more time.
You got it, man. What happened was the best. It's like, this. It's like you watch people who put their foot in fast moving water, and it's just like they're gone. It's like that, like the concept of control when it comes to like dating and finding someone that you decide to like spend your life with. I think it's a little naive. Like, I think there's big gears in the universe that we can't see, like behind the watch face, that are just turning. And I know this sounds so new agey and cheesy, but sometimes I think it's like you meet the person at just the right time because the souls of your kids are ready to come into the universe at that time.
That makes sense.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
now, your kids could be like in their 70s or 60s right now in a previous life.
About to expire in a few years, and then they're ready to pop back in.
Yeah, and that's when you meet the person who they choose you, and then they bring you together, and then you are like, that's when it happens.
Yeah.
Again, obviously this is probably just horse shit, but when it happens, you realize, like, I don't know how much of this I had control over. I don't know how much I chose this and how much I was chosen for it. And so that means go slow.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's that's really nice to think on. That's really nice to just kind of, because it takes some of the pressure off of you. Like, I don't feel a pressure to meet somebody now. I do feel like I try to be a little bit more like open about dating, or trying to at least meet with somebody to see if they're that person, or if there's a possibility, but it's been interesting. Yeah. But I like that the next phase is supposed to come into the universe, and then what is that going to be like? And how are you just part of the stepping stone for the next part of life? Because in a way, that's really all you are. Like, we have a ton of thoughts about, like, if you just saw two animals go hump in the woods somewhere, and then 2 months later they had a child, you'd be like, oh, that seems. But if they were like pining around, if you followed one of the animals for like 4 years before, and he's just like fucking rubbing his wiener up against a bush and fucking, like coming on, just fucking chasing like, other animals and shit. And you'd be like watching all his thoughts, and he's like sleeping in the woods and fucking drinking dirty water to get fucked up and stuff. You'd be like, God.
Getting dumb tattoos.
This guy, yeah, dude, he rolls up like, if animals were like us and they fucking rolled up with all these dumb tattoos and fucking CrossFit memberships and shit, and he's fucking.
Holy shit, man. Like, old exercise video DVDs in their nest.
Like, God, animal, take it easy on yourself, man. One of these days, nature is just going to send the right lioness along, and it'll all make sense,
Yeah, exactly. Like, think of like what got you to where you're at now. And then when you really look at it, like, obviously you made a choice to work hard. I think that is something we have control over.
I chose work.
You chose to work hard. But then if you look at all the people who helped you, and all the people you met, and all the inspirations you got around a corner you didn't expect to turn down, and all those things, at some point you have to be like, I don't know how much of this I'm responsible for.
100%.
Other than working hard. So if that's the case, for everything good in a person's life, it's going to be the same for meeting, a person that you are going to be with in a serious way, like in a marriage situation. Because I think you rush the shit, or or more importantly, you pretend you're having the feeling that this is the person you'll spend forever with, versus really having the feeling. Because there's night and day difference between the two. You get into trouble. You can't pretend. You have to listen, because it's nuts, man. Like you
just knew, huh?
Man, it was the weirdest. It was so weird.
And were we all at a park or something? Where were we all at? Where you saw your lady at?
Oh, yeah. I was doing a comedy show, and she was friends with my friend, and she had just come there because she's hanging out, and then we were hanging out, and then it was weird. It was weird, man. It was just like fusion or something. I can't explain it. I mean, this is not to say it was perfect.
No.
It's not to say credits roll movie, a happy, romantic movie score. I mean, I don't think any marriage could possibly be like that, but it was just, I don't know how to explain it other than it's oh yeah, we are already married in some weird way. It's like rippling backwards through time. Who knows? Maybe it's pheromones. You know what? Maybe the materialists are right, and it's just her.
Enough of the stink was on
my
the
stink and her stink was a good combination of stinks.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I don't know. I feel like it was something bigger than that. And I think it will be for you too. It will be, and then you'll be like, holy shit. Wow, I'm fucking married. I have kids. I've abandoned all that freedom. What have I done?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking kidding.
Look, some of that makes sense.
Yeah, well, the snake has to shed its skin or the snake dies.
That's what I start to feel too. I remember a few years ago, I was sitting in, I was doing an episode of King and the Sting podcast because I used to work on there with Brendan Schaub and Krista Lee and Eric Griffin. I don't know if Chris was on there yet, but I remember thinking talking about to them, do we evolve? When do we evolve? Are there times in our lives as humans where we are I was almost asking the world, I feel when I think back on that moment, because I was surprised that I was thinking about it or asking about it, but I was when do we evolve? When do I evolve? And I didn't know what it meant really. And I still don't exactly, but I think I was looking to evolve at that point. And I think a lot of that was probably from that ayahuasca experience.
Right.
Man. That stuff's so powerful. Have you been through it?
Not yet. I'm a little afraid. I mean, I've smoked DMT like everybody else, so I've experienced some taste of what it must be. But a 4-hour, 3-hour DMT trip just sounds completely life altering. And I know many people who have benefited massively from it. So I will eventually do it. But yeah, I mean, dude, here's one idea. You don't need to evolve. Actually, the evolution is just realizing where you're at right now is perfect. That's the evolution. It's letting go of the fantasy of some future better version of you and loving yourself right now. Instead of crucifying yourself on what you should be or could be, this is perfect. Not just the nice parts of you, the whole spectrum is great. And that, if you can really just let yourself play around with that. You take a vacation from self-hate or whatever, though, or for most people, it's not self-hate, though that term gets thrown around a lot. It's more tiny micro aggressions against oneself, tiny moments where you judge yourself as being, somehow unevolved or
not
fucked.
enough, or
not
messed
enough.
up, or
Yeah.
broken, or whatever.
Yeah, and then what happens for a lot of people doing that? They get hit by a fucking car crossing the street. They never evolved. Yeah. They died. Their last thought was hating themselves. Or
I didn't order a bus.
Yes, dude. So this is to me, that's the anytime, and I'm not able to do, I'm very neurotic, and quite often I will get down on myself. But anytime I'm able, especially in the midst of like really bad times, to not resist that, to just like, this is what's happening. I'm part of the universe. And right now I fucking stink and I'm tired and I'm annoyed. And I was just an asshole to the guy putting doorknobs on the door in my house. But this is where I'm at right now. This is it.
Yeah.
Somehow that's where the aggression that causes all the things we wish we didn't do dissipates. And then suddenly you're just the universe again. You're just part of the web of everythingness. And it's really a delight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know there are moments like that. I had a couple moments this morning. I just hit my knees. I was like, God, I can't do anything, right? Nothing is, just let me just be a part of the world. Let me just realize none of this matters. There's nothing I'm going to do today that's going to change the fucking world. There's nothing I'm going to do today that's going to alter my life in some huge way. Let me just try and be palatable to other people today,
Dude, I love it. And I think that is a noble aspiration. And I think that is a wonderful, everyone, dude, I know, because I'm guilty of it, man. I instantaneously want to be better. When I'm sick, I want to be better tomorrow. When I'm too fat, I want to lose the fucking weight tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't want the slow boil. I want to instantaneously change. And the whole universe doesn't work like that. Nothing works like that except bad things. You can instantaneously make yourself worse.
Yeah, like 9/11.
Yes. But the good stuff, it's slow. It's like the comparison gets made to one way to think of your life is like rising sun versus setting sun. And look at the way the sun rises. It is for such an incredibly powerful event, it's so weirdly slow, like the way the light gradually changes. That's anyone's life. And that's why it's like, shit, man, a temporary cloud passes in front of a sunrise and it might seem like it's becoming night again. But that's just it's a cloud.
Yeah.
The sun's rising. You know what's happening. And you just start trusting that. And then, at least for me, I become less. It's just a paradoxical, because somehow by not attempting to elevate myself to some super egoic spiritual position, that's where happiness seems to appear.
Yeah. Just trust in the sun. Just trust in the speed of the sun,
Yeah. Trust in the speed of the sun. It's been there for a long time.
It knows what it's doing.
Yeah, I think it knows what it's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point, let's rely on a few things that know what they're doing,
Yeah, you can trust the sun. I mean, maybe not. Apparently we're getting blasted by solar flares, not to fuck up whatever spiritual apex we just hit. We're getting blasted by class 50 flares. They're like, the internet's going to go down. But
bring them on, man.
In general, you can trust the sun.
Yeah, in general. Yeah. This is a general hypothesis. Yeah, I think it's been interesting. I've been dealing with my own ego, too, in the past year. That's been interesting, as life gets busier.
Yeah.
And as my ego is very scary to me. The ego is very scary, I feel like.
Well, how do you describe your ego? What's your...
Just like moments where I notice that I think I'm deserving of things or I expect things. And I can't tell if some of it's just because I'm busier. And so you need things to kind of, you get used to some. But it's like I want to be able to show up in my best way all the time,
Yeah.
And so then it takes more work to kind of cultivate and nurture that best way of yourself,
Right.
And just kind of rolling with the, it's like, so yeah, I think the ego really scares me because you don't know what it is. The ego is always there.
Yeah.
It's like your shadow. It's always connected to you. And it's such a trickster, and it can make you feel deserving of things. It can make you feel, smarter than people. It's like I just have to be careful. It's just something that's been kind of on my mind.
Dude,
I think
it's so embarrassing. The ego is the source of embarrassment, because it's just like, oh my, dude, what the fuck? Theo wants me to do his podcast again. What the fuck? Why won't he do mine? well, he must hate me. Does he secretly hate me? I wonder if Theo Von secretly hates me. You just told me you're in a bad spot. Not once was my ego compassionate. Not once was I like, he's probably got a lot going on. He's probably not feeling, who knows what it is. There's many times you have like fucked up sending an email or like been in a rotten, depressed state and have not wanted to talk to anybody. No, it didn't cross my ego's mind.
Yeah.
My ego puffs out, gets butthurt, limps around. It's like, It's so it's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. But to react to the ego in the negative, to then go to war with that poor part of yourself, that poor, sad ape in a cave part of yourself, is
disabled veteran, fucking, ship captain of nobody else on the ship.
Poor fucking thing. It's been trying to protect you your whole life, and it's exhausted.
Yeah.
When you were a kid, you developed it because you needed it to keep you safe, and now it's so tired.
Yeah.
It doesn't make as much sense anymore. It's like, I guess that's dangerous. Fuck that guy. We got to punish that person, I think. I don't know. So some don't succumb to the poor thing, but when you realize that's been one of your number one shield bearers,
I know, for
the entirety of your life, and then suddenly everyone's like, I'm gonna take enough acid to evaporate you, motherfucker.
That's like, crazy.
What? I've been protecting you. Yeah, I'm just gonna euthanize you. Your teeth are falling out. Fuck you. It's so sad.
Dude, I wonder if if our ego walked in the room, if we'd be in what it would look like, bro. That would be such a crazy game show. What if we're able to get to a point one time in existence where where people have to show your ego? It's like move that bus. Who was that dude that used to do that? Move that bus. Let me hit that.
Dude, I would never.
Ty Pennington.
Yeah, Ty Pennington, dude. Used to do move that. And people were like, show your ego. And then it's just some fucking maybe a midget comes out playing like a fucking trumpet, And he's got a bunch of whores with him. You're like, oh, damn, my ego's fucking.
Everybody's ego would have a much bigger dick than what they have. Like, everybody's ego would have an enormous cock.
Yeah.
My bald spot would be gone. I would have embarrassing flowing locks. I think I might have a gold chain. I think there would be gold chains, and there would definitely be spandex involved. Maybe like a fashion cane.
Yeah, and somebody carrying a microwave for you that just makes unlimited pancakes coming out of it.
Yeah, there would have to be, your ego would, you would also have to present your ego's imaginary entourage, all the people your ego fantasizes being surrounded by.
One of mine would be China, that wrestler that died a long time ago. Dude.
Fuck, yeah. I know. I would definitely want, somehow, I don't know why, I'd want Steven Spielberg, Stephen King, Stephen Hawking. Ooh. And, I would want to be surrounded on one side by all these incredible creators that I respect who were coming to me for inspiration. And then on the other side, just an ocean of beautiful women weeping for me. There would be a cult sort of thing happening for my ego, too.
A couple Celine Dion's there, maybe.
Some Celine Dion,
Deion Sanders, maybe.
Deion Sanders.
What about Celine Dion Sanders, dude?
No. Oh my God. You know what? I think you could animate that show, actually. I think there is a way you could you could do that show without having to have some futuristic technology, but people would have to be completely honest with you and not afraid to. And I think it would be good for the world.
Oh, yeah.
When all of a sudden everyone witnesses, oh shit, everyone's got the same thing I have riding around in the roller coaster. That'd be good. It's good for people.
It would be good. Yeah, I think there would be interesting if there were game shows that were more bearing of our souls, in ways.
Yeah.
Maybe that will come as we get more technology that tells us more about what's going on. That's the plane we're missing a lot of times with a lot of medical intuition or discovery through MRIs and it's I wish there was another type of MRI, like we were saying in the beginning, that could evaluate where we are. What lap is our soul on? What are we, you know? So then it's like when you met somebody like, oh, I see what's going on here. It's like you really get some intel. This guy's on his 6,000th lap. This dude was an Egyptian for fucking 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Or this dude is his first run ever. And he's based out of Minnesota.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, this fucking asshole was Hitler, and now he's like driving an Amazon delivery truck. Like, what the fuck?
So let's just get him what he needs. Okay.
Yeah. You're a great artist. No, really, you're an incredible artist. I love your art.
Yeah.
Please don't do another Holocaust.
Yeah, dude. I'll buy the painting.
It's great. Whatever you want. NFTs. Oh, he's making NFTs. Buy the fucking NFTs. Just buy them. It doesn't matter.
Dude, it's crazy. Well, when our body starts to... Did you see that video? You see that Tito Ortiz? Can you pull that out? There was a Tito Ortiz video where he hit Mach 7 or 8.
Whoa.
And it shows you... I think it made me think about, wow, what goes on inside of us and what a shell our body is.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's so wild. There's a whole ecosystem happening in there, a whole psychic ecosystem.
I know, and there's like turtles in it. There's everything. Dude, a turtle swam up on the beach the other day in Maui, and I went to vacation, and a turtle was there, and it was just fascinating. People like going up and seeing it and spending time by it.
They're so mystical. The Hawaiian turtles are like holy creatures.
Yeah.
You feel lucky to be around them. They're so beautiful. You ever go scuba diving?
No.
You see them in the water. I mean, when you see them on shore, obviously that's like not their best on shore. They're kind of clumsy, slow.
Yeah.
But in the water, holy shit. They're just, they seem like they would grant a wish or something.
Yeah.
They're beautiful.
Well, it makes sense then. And that's one thing.
What is this? Thank you, friend.
This is Tito Ortiz. Yeah, passes out. He hit 9 Gs.
Who is, I'm so sorry.
Theo Ortiz is a UFC, he was a UFC wrestler. He is he does, one thing that's really neat about him, he does all of the meals at the Laugh Factory. He goes there and passes out food.
Oh, that's cool.
On Thanksgiving. He's a philanthropic dude.
That's cool.
And he's a famous UFC fighter. Can we go back and let's see that video. But watch what happens. It's interesting to see what happens to the shell of us at certain levels.
Yeah.
With a high rate of acceleration, equivalent to a max performance turn in a fighter aircraft. This is one where you might pass out.
Ugh.
All right, Tito, how you doing? All right. Don't want to do anything you don't want to do, so let me know if you don't want to do the 9G profile. 30 seconds. Alex is saying that you have to do it, okay. But clearly your call. Yep. Clear. Here we go.
Oh, fuck that.
Wow, he's in there. This is a 9G simulator.
Holy shit. Wow.
Okay. How you doing, buddy? You with me? You with me, buddy?
Wow.
Go back to that moment where his face is limp. It's kind of fascinating just to see what you're, and just pause it right there if you can find it, Zach, on that screen.
Oh my God.
Right there, I was like, wow, we are just, our body, it's just such a shell. I mean, here's one of the toughest men,
How old are you?
I'm 43.
I'm 48, man. That is what I look like when I wake up. That's
You got to sew it back together.
I have to like push it up, electroshock to get the things to work again. Yeah, that's crazy. The mask is just sort of drooping off the skull, the eyes. Yeah, man, that's fucked.
And that's almost a way of looking at your, that's a ego deflating moment. To have this moment just be out there for him, that's pretty cool. Just like, this is, if you let my body just, let me show you what it is at its refined form,
This is, Rogan talks about like, this is like the benefit of martial arts, or like, because you're getting beaten up. Like, I don't know much about him. I'm guessing in front of the planet, he's been knocked out maybe or defeated. I don't know. And once that happens to you, that, you know, whatever it is, the insecurity and stuff, you already got, you know that you are not perfect. You know you're going to lose fights. You know the way you got good at fighting is not by winning every fight. And so apparently there's like a benefit to that, you know, to knowing where you're at. You know, that's why he does stuff like that. That's and all, you know, man, anytime you get around, like, anytime I've been around Rogan and we get to be around like a famous fighter, they are weirdly similar to people at the Ram Dass retreats.
Really?
They've got this glow to them. I mean, again, I'm making a blanket assessment for a few people I've met.
No. Oh, yeah. There's something fascinating about them. It's almost like seeing some of them. It's like being around one of those turtles, kind of.
Yes, they have this holy quality to them, or this spiritual component, and you would almost forget the person you're sitting next to if, for whatever reason, they decided to. They would be the last person you saw. You would like see them lunge towards you, and that's it. You're dead. You're dead. You just forget. It's like hanging around a really well-behaved pit bull or something. You forget, and also because they're just so sweet. They're so sweet.
And there's something interesting about being able to be knocked out, like to being able to put yourself in that risk space, you know, of like,
yes,
because it's such a defeating thing, you know, being knocked out. It's everybody's biggest fear. What if I was unconscious in front of other, like you have no control over yourself. You are at a level, you are limp.
You're limp in front of the planet.
Yeah.
Your wife might be in the audience. Your kids are in the audience watching. Daddy.
Your ego.
Yeah. Your ego is like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude.
You fucking pussy. Look at you. I told you to fucking dope. I told you to use that new synthetic fucking testosterone the Russians developed. Yeah, man. That's like, yeah, it's you. There's something about, you know, okay. I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar? You're probably familiar with Jack Kerouac, the beat poets. So I used to think the beat poets, as they're called, Kerouac. I guess Ginsberg falls into that category.
What about what's his name? Who was
William Burroughs?
Vonnegut. Was he a beat poet? No.
I think he was at the same time period, but I don't know for sure. I wish I were more literary than I am.
He wasn't really in like the beat pack. Beat pack was that Kerouac. Who else? William Burroughs.
That's right.
Bukowski kind of gets lumped in there a little bit.
Yeah. Does Ginsberg land there? Or was I totally
yes.
off? Okay.
No, Ginsberg is there too.
So like, I used to think beat meant like the beat of, like, I don't know, a Congo or some shit. You know, they would all wear turtlenecks and like have drum circles, or there's jazz. But what I read is it means defeated. We're beat. We've already been beat. We lost. It's over. We beat. We're not trying to win anymore. And in that place, being beat, that's where you find freedom. That's where you find true liberation. You've disconnected from the fucking horrible drums that drive the ship of capitalism. It doesn't mean they're obviously not failing. They're writing beautiful. I mean, Kerouac wrote On the Road, apparently, in what was it, 1 night? 2 nights on speed?
Wow.
He took just like, in those days, I don't know what kind of speed they had. It was like on paper strips or something. So he just got blasted on speed, writes one of the great American road novels in a couple of nights. Fucking infuriating, man. So it's not like they were like, we're beat, taking bong hits, doing ketamine, playing God of War. It's like, not that that's the worst experience.
No, but that's yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's but that state of consciousness of like, yeah, like I'm already. I think another way to put it would be, at least we're beat in the sense you're not going to do better than the Earth. You're not going to like.
Right. There's you're not fighting this invisible you're not in this battle that you cannot really win. You're kind of like accepting that, hey, this is where things are.
Yeah.
You know, let me operate from a place of I am not the king.
Yes. And it's such a wonderful thing to stop trying to save the fucking planet. It's such a wonderful thing to stop trying to be, because the ego is so deceptive that it will convince you that you are demonstrating some altruistic impulse.
Yes.
When really you want to be the goddamn Messiah. You want to be Jesus. You want to like you want to be the only person who saves the planet. You want the credit for you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real scary, man. Yeah, I've noticed there were moments like that. I remember a few years ago whenever I started to get like just people would come out to my shows and stuff, I started thinking, oh, does God have some special plan for me? You know, like, and that was very scary to me.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. And I was like, what if I'm not doing things right? Or like, what if I can't handle this type of, if I just had never had like, you know, it's scary when people come to spend time with, you know, it's like, why me? You know, you start asking and then your ego will start answering sometimes if you're not fucking, you know, if you don't have some inkling or some guidance or hearing good things from people that are helping you navigate things.
Sure.
But I remember that. I remember thinking, man, I'm not going to be able to be a leader, you know, so this is real scary. Now I'm going to have, how do I pretend to be a leader, you know?
Yeah.
And then that eventually kind of went away, and I realized that that was a fool's gold thing, but
sure,
it was very scary. I remember when that happened, I was like, fuck, like, but to think that, yeah, like I'm just a part of this thing and we're all defeated. How do we operate now?
Right.
You know?
What now? Like now, and I'll tell you, man, if you look at the like the Messiah or God as being like, you look at the Messiah as being not the next Messiah, the second coming of Christ, whatever you want to call it, the Maitreya. If you look at it not as being one person, but rather a harmonized group of God knows how many people, or just think about Jesus. Like, I don't know how many people talk about like Jesus's like, or think of Mary. Who is Mary's great grandfather, right? Like Mary's great grandfather. If Mary, I mean, forgive me if this seems vulgar. I don't mean to be offensive, but okay, you know what? I'll replace messiahs. Think of like the Buddha's great grandmother. Like imagine if that great grandmother decided not to let someone ejaculate inside of her at just the exact right time and hadn't raised that kid in a certain way, there would be no Buddha. So it's like, when you start looking at the fact that like we are all part of not just like the shitty things the planet spits out, but theoretically you could be, wouldn't you like to be one pixel in the Buddha? One pixel, one cell, one little tiny part of whatever the next thing is that like just shakes the planet to its foundations in the positive. I would.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
enough. That would be cool. You want to be the whole fucking thing?
That's insane.
That's the ego. It's like you know, there's a story, Ram Dass's brother, I guess.
That's great, man. That's a great way to say that. That's a great way to say that. Like, how can I just be a cell in the wellness of whatever, you know? Or how do I just show up enough to be a part of things in a positive way, you know? And
trust that you are.
Right.
Then you get to have that thing that your ego's looking for, but in a much more realistic, in a much more interactive way. Like now you don't, and you know, all the great stories. I mean, God, look at what Jesus said when he sent out the disciples. I think it was something along the lines of, don't worry what you're going to say. I'm going to speak through you. And if people don't accept you, shake the dust from your sandals and just leave. No big deal. You don't have to worry. That's what I love about Christianity is that you don't have to worry anymore. Like you're taken care of now. You don't need to worry. You don't have to. And so, yeah, I think like, you know, from that perspective, you don't have to like plan what the fuck you're going to do to become Muad'Dib or whatever and have like legions of people worshiping you as you drive some like, you know what I mean? Whatever the fuck it is.
Corvette or whatever, probably. Or a T-Bird, maybe.
Yeah. You don't have to.
Yeah, that's one cool thing that's nice about it. I mean, I go to 12-step, I go to recovery programs. And so that's one of the coolest things I feel is when I'm in those rooms and it's like people are listening to each other and everybody's there for the goodness of one another.
Yeah.
There's a feeling I leave out of there with like, man, I'm a part of something that feels good. You know? And it doesn't feel like it's about me. It feels like just a part of something that feels good. And I think everybody, like, I think there's a general I think as a society, we're like, I wonder if we'll look back on our society, like if thousands of years from now, they'll look back and be like, man, what a wrong turn because we're just this ship in the water. That's all humanity is. Like, and we learned a ton, but what a turn that was going along those ways of thinking that we had all the answers and that science was going to lead us to the be all end all, and that we were going to be able to crack the code. Like what a exhilarating and exhausting fucking experiment that was.
Yeah, right. Let's just, well, I mean, I love the parable of the prodigal son. It's so good for humanity. It's not just good for an individual life. You know the prodigal son story?
Mm-mm.
Synopsis. There's a dad. There's a kid. I'm sorry. Basically, there's two brothers. One of them decides to stay at his father's house and help with the farm, essentially. And the other is like, I'm out of here, and leaves and just goes on this like hedonistic voyage through life, prostitutes, blows all his fucking money, ends up.
Was Brad Pitt in it?
It's not it's a parable from the Bible, but it would be an amazing Brad Pitt movie, a beautiful man. But essentially this kid ruins his life. He becomes some kind like a pig farmer, which apparently back then was like the worst thing you could be. And so in shame and humiliation, he realizes, I'm going to have to move back in with my dad. Like all the shit I said about how I was going to be a famous break dancer or whatever bullshit he was saying, it didn't happen. And
which also, let me tell you this. If you're telling your dad you're going to be a famous break dancer, 9 out of 9 times, you're probably not gonna.
I don't know the statistics on it, but it's got to be worse than famous comedian. It's got to be much more improbable. So, yeah, basically the story is he goes back home and his dad takes one look at him and he's like legitimately like, I fucked up. I let my ego take control. I thought I was going to be able to do the caterpillar and moonwalk or whatever the fuck, and I suck at dancing.
Body rolls and all that.
Body rolls. And what I love about at least the version I read is before he can finish the apology, his father embraces him. Before he can even finish the apology and says like, let's throw a huge party. We're going to throw this massive celebration. Meanwhile, the other brother is out in the fucking field and like realizes what's happening. He's like, how come you never throw a party for fucking me? I didn't go try to become a break dancer. I didn't buy embarrassing parachute fucking pants and crypto and start a fucking NFT AI company or try to like use that AI to sell my stickers on fucking Etsy. What the fuck? I've been out here with the oxen.
What happened?
Well, his father says to the son, like, we're celebrating. You've been here. You've been alive. You're alive. You've been here. We're celebrating because that which was dead has come back to life. That's the celebration. My son was gone, lost, dead. Now he's back. This is the joy. So what you're talking about in any individual life, especially like when you finally get into a 12-step program, you break that addiction, dude, and you look at your life when you were tanking your fucking life on blow and booze, and you look at how you weren't even there. You weren't even there. You were dead. You didn't exist. If you look back, you were blacking out. You were fucked up. You weren't there. It was at the very best, a waking dream. And you can't remember a lot of that shit. And then suddenly, holy shit, you start coming back to life. That's what it's about for the individual. But for what you're saying is like for humanity as a whole, I think that's what's so beautiful about it is there's the possibility for the entirety of the species to reorient itself into another way of being. And at least because it's obvious in the Bible, it's theistic. The message is God doesn't care how much money you spent on the stupid breakdancer clothes you were wearing or your failed Etsy business or all the people you lied to or all the people you stabbed in the back, as long as those things brought you back home. That's all that matters. As long as you're able to come and say, I'm sorry, and mean it. That's what I love about that story. And I think like that's what humanity has to look forward to, probably. I do. I think, yeah, maybe we did. Right now we're like fucking scooping up pig shit or whatever and pretending it's gold. But I have a feeling like, you know,
We'll come back around.
we'll come back around. Yeah. If a person can come back around, then all of us can come back around.
Yeah, because all we are is just a person, really. We're all just one person, like you're saying.
You're right, man. Just one very complex, very, very big person.
Yeah, and you have to, you have to start thinking, how do we all win as a like what little part can I do to help us be a part of that? Or not even what can I do, but how do I just operate in a way that behooves everyone? And how can I do that more today?
Yeah, that's it.
It's a nice question to have each day.
Each day.
How can I do that more today for my fellow man?
Yeah.
For my fellow species member?
Yeah. It's a good question. And sometimes you will not be able to answer it.
No. Yeah, sometimes you'll slink back off, but I think having that as like as a good question is nice. And that's the neat thing about life is sometimes once certain things get introduced to you, you can't unintroduce them, you know?
Yes.
And that's one thing that's really cool. It's like, man, once you kind of see a little bit of the light, you can't unsee it, you know?
No.
That's one thing that's neat about getting into recovery programs. Even like you were saying, like you were dead. Like once you can look back and see that, like, oh, I wasn't a contributing member to myself.
Yeah.
To anyone. I wasn't able to love my sister. I wasn't able to love my brother. I wasn't able to love myself, and like how you can start to, you know, do those things better.
Yeah, man. And being the times I've been in those rooms when what's cool about it is you see people who like you thought you hit bottom. Like you see people who like they did the same thing China's doing right now, where like they're trying to dig a hole to the center of the earth. Yeah. You're like, are you kidding me? What the fuck? You know, the stories are crazy, but then the fact that you're looking at them, they're healthy, they're happy, they're doing great. That is where you realize how incredibly powerful it is to be a human.
Yes.
They sure as fuck shouldn't have climbed out of that hole. Yeah. Some of those holes, man, you know what I'm talking about.
There's 7-story holes.
Dude.
8 stories, 12 stories. Like, how did you get a hole this deep?
How did you even do it?
Yeah, you didn't even have a shovel.
Like if I told someone, I will pay you $500,000 to destroy your life in this way, they wouldn't be able to do it. And these people did it just with whiskey. Like inhalants. It's like a talent.
Oh, that's fucking cool, man. What time we at, Zach?
Like 2 hours, 20 minutes, something like that.
Wow.
A little under.
Okay. Trying to think of something else I wanted to think about with you.
You were talking about sex in a graveyard. I can actually chime in on that. I worked with a guy at a pizza shop who, this is a true story. I delivered pizzas with this guy, Steve, and he would take his wife, they had kids, they would hire a sitter every Saturday, and they would go have sex in a graveyard.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. His wife's name was Angel, and she was 390 pounds.
What?
And were they Mexican? Because a lot of Mexicans, they weren't?
No, white trash, Ohio.
A lot of Mexicans that's one thing I love that Mexicans do. They do that El Dia de los Muertos, you know? Yeah. And they go celebrate in the graveyard with the deceased Mexicans. It's a big part of the culture. Like, if you're in LA, you can go on Halloween to the graveyards, and it is like, you know, it's like a damn Selena, like concert.
The Hollywood Forever Cemetery it's incredible.
It's awesome.
It's beautiful, and it's not. You expect it to be like morbid or grim, but it isn't at all. It's celebratory. It's beautiful. You can see how they're honoring these people. It's really incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you can eat an empanada with a 700-year-old Mexican dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can.
Oh, yeah, the Ramones are buried there. That's right. That cemetery's pretty wild.
It is. That's where, I don't know if they do it anymore, but they used to do movies there, like on the weekends.
Yeah, I think they still do. I actually went with James Blake. He's a musician. He's been on here before. He's a really, really amazing British producer and musician. And he and I went to El Dia de los Muertos one time, and they had music, and they had, just Mexican families just sitting with their deceased ancestors.
Yeah.
You know?
It's really sweet. I mean, it's so sophisticated. Like the way a lot of people do death is really like fucked up. You try not to think about it. You just try, like someone dies, and you just try to put them out of your head. I mean, I've attempted
and
that.
they don't, and they don't really disappear. It's funny because I can think about my father, right, and I can think about how he feels, I can think about what he wears. I can think about his voice is alive inside of my head and in my heart. I can feel it. I can put my hand on my heart, and it's his heartbeat. Like part of the beat of my heart was made by two other people's beats. It's a fucking song.
Yeah.
That's inside of me that was created by, so it's really, we really do that poorly, I think, or I've done that poorly in my life, is honoring the deceased, honoring the people that put their time in so I could exist.
Maybe part of the problem is it's so bizarre when you lose someone, when you realize somehow, even though their bodies aren't here, they're closer than they've ever been to you. Like you have this sense, no, they're here. I mean, not in like a ghost paranormal way, but like something deeper than that, just like what you're saying. And it's hard for people to deal with that. It's almost heartbreaking in a way, or you're afraid to connect with them. You have a sense anytime you do, they've just been waiting for you to reach out.
Oh, that's interesting. It's almost ashamed. There's a little bit of shame. If I were to sit and really just go spend time like in a room or in an open field and tell my father I wanted to talk to him or spend time with him, part of me would feel ashamed that it took me so long to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? When I've like presented that shame to like my mom's soul or whatever you want to call that, the response is always, I love you.
Yeah.
There's no like, why didn't you fucking use ayahuasca to talk to me? It's just a sense of like, I love you so much. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your life. You're doing great. I love you. This place is for love, nothing else. That's always been the sort of the message, they don't seem to even see shame, or they don't, I think whatever it is.
Why were you watching Dateline? They're never like that.
Why the fuck were you obsessed with Keith Morrison?
Yeah.
Why did you work for a week to try to do a Keith Morrison impression that you could never pull off?
But what about that avocado?
Not bad.
Thank you.
Not bad. Yeah, man. It's just.
Yeah, it's right. Why'd you go to that Duran concert the other night?
Yeah. They're not. They just. It's like, I think whatever is on the other side, as they call it, is so beautiful. Ram Dass says it's like taking off a shoe that's too tight. It's death. Death is like taking off a shoe that's too tight. It's whatever's over there is so beautiful and so much more real than this place, that beings that are there, they just want us to be happy. They are just love, and also, as a parent, like if my kid somehow reaches through the veil to communicate with me after I'm dead, I'm not going to be like, look at your fucking shitty shirt. Why do you have gravy all over your shirt?
Change your oil. You're not going to be yelling that.
Change your oil, boy. I taught you to do that. I taught you. You're going to burn your engine out. It's easy. I bought you that fucking car with the inheritance. Yeah, dude. It's like they just love. That's it. That's it. That's a fundamental fabric of everything. Is that kind of energy.
Yeah.
And you're right. The darkness part it's like, turning on a light. You just turn on the light. That's all it is, man. It's like the darkness is really the weakest of things when you consider how it's so. You just flip a light switch, light a candle, and it's gone.
Yeah.
It wasn't really there.
And you usually need other people to do it. You need Yeah, that's why isolation kills so many alcoholics and so many addicts. That's why isolation creates so many school shooters and like severe, like violent nihilists. I don't know what nihilist means.
Yeah, nihilism, the idea that all you are is atoms. I mean, if you want to take it to the furthest point, it's like this is essentially an accident. Big Bang happens. And just by like time and molecules swirling together, we became, what did you call it? Reactive. We became reactive meat. Earlier on, you had a really nihilistic description of human beings. We're just temporarily sentient. We are doomed to die. We didn't ask to be fucking born. And here we are, mortals in a universe of infinite atoms, but whatever we are, it's just a fucking accident, like just a bad collision between the wrong organic molecules a long time ago.
And some oxygen.
And some fucking oxygen, and fuck it. And then
Do you believe that's true or not?
No, I don't believe that's true at all. My experience of life is the opposite of that.
And it's interesting because I feel like we've created a society kind of in America where if you're not careful, you can get lapped in and believe in that. We have a society that really, we've created that a lot of things that mean a lot to us or that should are really just wares for sale.
Yeah.
Or that even our important moments, or I don't know. I feel like there's been some deviation, but I think there's, like you're saying, there's a lot. If you can not see that, if you can find other people and listen, if you can just be open to possibility, you can quickly get back to a place that feels good.
Yes, because that's what you actually are.
Right.
The place that feels good is you.
Right.
Fundamental goodness. That's you. That's ground level, whatever you want to call it, bedrock. Yeah. The bedrock, and everything else is just defense mechanisms. And exactly. You'll know when you're there because the paradox is you're already there. I mean, it's just like so many comparisons. It's like a lantern that's got a lot of like dirt or dust on it. You know what I mean? Your soul is the light. The lantern is your countless incarnations. And once you clear away the dust, boom, there you are again. And that's the weird, I don't know if you had it with ayahuasca, but with DMT, that's that weird familiarity people report, which I certainly experienced, where you're like, oh, I know this place. There was nothing to be afraid of. This is just a place of love and joy and delight. And fuck, I've been so hard on myself.
Yeah.
I was a cockroach for 50 incarnations. Just like you said earlier. What was I doing? What was I doing beating myself up?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
I'm doing great. Yeah, and truly, if you're a human, at least from the Buddhist perspective, it's the rarity of the human incarnation from the Buddhist cosmology. Like, they think there's more gods than there are humans. That if you are lucky enough to be born a human, you probably weren't a cockroach. Like, you have done some heavy lifting to land in the human realm. And especially, there's a weird kind of like multiverse aspect to Buddhism a lot of people don't know about, but to be born in a realm where there was a Buddha, where there was a Jesus, I mean, you pick your Messiah, because there's the possibility of being born in a time when nobody had any kind of spiritual technology developed. So to be in a world where we have like volumes of like incredible spiritual technology that anytime you want you can connect to is very good karma, very good fortune.
That's a great point. It's very good fortune. Do you think if they proved aliens, if there was some proof of them, like, and obviously if there was some further proof that really set into everybody, like everybody, it was like, was like, wow, they're out there. What would that do to religion? Do you think that would strengthen it, or do you think that would weaken it?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on the religion and the lineage of the religion. I mean, if you've been living in a religion that is doing the same thing for humanity that we used to do for planet Earth, the Earth was the center of the universe. So if you've been living in some mindset that humanity is the sum total of, or like the final part of God's creation or something, then yeah, it's going to fuck with your head, because now you have to deal with the fact that no, the universe is teeming with life on every level, from the subatomic to the like to giant planets to God knows what, to the point where we might be some atomic portion of something we'll never understand. So yeah, but I think, a lot of religions already have built in the idea that we're talking about the source of all reality, a kind of super intelligent, progenitive, benevolent creator force that just delights in making stuff and delights in like sharing its creation with the things it makes, that we get to co-create with it. It invites us to like sit down at the potter's wheel with it and make stuff while we're here. So it's a really wonderful artist, whoever it is, whatever it is. And it's the best kind of artist. It doesn't like, there's no signatures, there's no copyright, there's no IP it's claiming for the sum total of all things. It's that incredible. It's like Banksy. Nobody knows who Banksy is. It's like that. It's just like, here, have it all. I'm giving you all of it. Let's see what you do with it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So I think from that perspective, aliens, sure, why not?
And what if aliens, they also had a god too? What if they rolled up with a couple gods? We would figure it out.
Well, yeah, that's what would be so exciting. It's like, what
do they believe in?
Who are you worshiping?
Who
is your God? What is an alien God like? And what do they think of our idea of God? Or what if they're like all like Richard fucking Dawkins and they're pissed at us? Like, there's no God, you dumb shits. We made you. We're your fucking God. Look at us. Big black eyes, a motionless face. We made you. You just hallucinated all the other stuff because we built that into you to like believe in a God, because that makes you easy to control.
We would beat them up then.
We would. Oh, dude.
I think we would. I think we would fight to have a God.
The first alien human world star fight, like when a human finally just punches an alien, it's weird to think our kids might see that, man. It's weird to think that we might see. I don't think.
And there's a lot of beef between black. I have some black friends, and they said there's a lot of beef between like blacks and aliens too.
What?
Yeah. That's like we don't hear about because we're not, I guess in that culture that much. But yeah, there's a lot of like black alien.
What?
Yeah, they don't get along, or they don't get along that much. I mean, how many black dudes you even know are like, who have like alien posters or anything like that,
I mean, I honestly, I don't know anyone who has alien posters, but like, I do know black people who are like super into aliens. Maybe
I gotta meet more black folks then.
Maybe who knows? It's like I don't know. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who like or think they're demons. I mean, that's one of the threads of like that's one of the explanations for them is it's like, no, these are the legions of Satan coming to the earth to pose as aliens and trick us into getting on those fucking ships. Don't get on the ships.
Yeah.
Don't get on the ships because they're going to fly you right to hell, motherfucker. Fuck. Don't get on the ship.
I'm going to want to go look at least on there, I bet.
Well, yeah, of course. Me too. We will get on the ships.
But I'm going to say, hey, tell me before y'all leave.
No, dude, you will get on the ship. For sure. I guarantee you'll get on the ship. I guarantee it. We'll probably be podcasting on a spaceship at some point. I mean, maybe that is what we're on. Who knows? Maybe that's part of it. They get you on the ship. They make you forget you're on a ship. They trick you into thinking you're in the human dimension. We're just in some cargo bay right now. Plugged into the Matrix, baby.
That's awesome, man. Duncan, thanks so much for your time, dude.
Anytime, Theo.
You hit that bitch one more
This
time.
was so fun.
Yeah, so fun, man. So fun to see you again. And yeah, we should probably just do one to follow up this one. I think people will love this. This has been one of my favorite chats in a while, man.
Dude, mine too. Thank you, Theo. I really think you're wonderful. And thank you so much for having me on your show. It means the world. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%, man. I want to do it again soon. And we'll do yours. Yeah, we can just Zoom it from wherever
Great.
if I'm back in town.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll hit you up.
Do you ever do them live?
I'm building a podcast studio right now, but it's slow going.
You could talk to this company here too. They're really good.
I'm tempted to, honestly, because I've been trying to do it at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering if that's like a little bit of like kind of what we were talking about earlier. Like you got to shed that skin. Like, why do you want to do it at home? What are you doing? Like, why not expand? Do it like you're doing. This is one of the things like you, Segura, Rogan. It's like, you guys are real trendsetters. You're really leading the charge as far as like creating your own TV show, basically, and like making it look good, having a nice studio and stuff. And I don't know, it just takes so much work.
Yeah, well, I just started working with this company called Rooster Teeth, and they've been awesome, man. It's been good. It's been really just interesting, and I'm glad that they've been supportive. But yeah, it is. I think there's something nice about having it at home. It feels homey, but I think you feel homey no matter what, no matter where you would be.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes I used to I started in my kitchen and I was like, oh, if I ever leave my kitchen, something will be wrong. I won't be able to communicate correctly or something.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to lose like the vibe of like, this is my garage. Like this is my gritty podcast studio. And it's like, that's so dumb. Like, why do I like? I want to expand. It's just, geez, man.
We need your voice out there. I think.
Thanks, man.
It's really good to hear. I feel much better than when I came in today.
Same.
I feel more inspired. I feel like I can do better when I communicate with people. It's just a really nice reminder. You are a nice reminder of how to operate in the world.
Thank you, Theo. Hey, man, we don't have to podcast. You can hit me up anytime you want. If you just want to shoot the shit, I love talking to you, and I would be thrilled. So
thanks, man.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, we'll do it again soon.
Beautiful.
Duncan Trussell, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get a snap.
Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone. Oh, but when I reach that ground, I'll share this peace of mind I found. I can feel it in my bones, but it's gonna take